Yes.
Okay. Tell me your name, sir.
Steve Frank.
Steve, how can I help?
But I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing right now. I have no income so far.
Okay.
I have trouble getting started. I've been through this before. I have a coach, and Joe Flores, he knows what I'm trying to do. Just haven't got anywhere yet. That's be
Awesome.
honest.
So are you new to the business then, Steve?
Well, I've been here since like June.
June. So relatively new.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And then
I do all the calls, lead generation that has gotten me nowhere. I'm doing open houses. I'm just trying to get my name known in my general area. I'm trying
okay. So Steve, I want you to mark this down when we get to the lead generation discussion, which will be either the second or third model. We're going to go deep on it and we'll bring you back up. But one of the things we're going to do is start tracking, and I'm going to ask you some questions if you're open to it, like
Sure.
how many open houses have you done? How many people showed up at those open houses?
Right.
How much contact information did you get? How did you follow up with those people after the open houses? And then what's your plan to stay in touch with those people after the open houses, right? Systematic follow-up. We'll get into that. And then also, if you're doing any other type of lead generation, write that down too, to make sure we're not spread too thin across the board versus doing one or maybe two things, right? But I think you can answer question 8, right? So go to question 8 and answer that question. And if any of y'all are having trouble answering that question, go to your iPhone. And if you don't have an iPhone, then sorry. Go to contacts, scroll all the way down to the very bottom past Z. You'll get to the hashtag and it'll tell you how many people you have in your phone.
Right.
That's a good start of how many people you have in your database. It's not a true number, but it's a start. Those are people that you took time to put in your phone or somebody else sent you their information, right? And that's a good start on a database. Okay?
Right.
Thank you, Steve, for sharing. I appreciate it. We'll dive more into it. Okay? Who else? Anybody else get stuck or have questions on this? This is the hard part I get because everybody wants to look towards the future. Everybody wants to go to the new. It's like a New Year's resolution. But this is where the work begins is with yourself. Probably one of my favorite things Gary says is your business grows to the extent that you do. Your business grows to the extent that you do. So somebody either here in the classroom or on Zoom, tell me what that means. Jay?
Grow to the extent that you do, as in you better yourself, better education, expand your technology skills, your people skills, your sales skills, your business will follow.
Okay. So Jay said expanding your knowledge, your learning, your skills, and then your business does. So 100%. Can I expand on that a little bit? So your business grows to the extent that you do is a couple things. One, whatever your personal behaviors are going to show up in your business. Okay? Whatever your personal behaviors are going to show up in your business, bar none. All right? So if you are timid in personal life, you'll probably be timid in business whenever you go get leads. If you're aggressive in your personal life, probably be aggressive in business getting your leads. If you spend money furiously in your personal life, you'll probably spend money furiously in your business life. If you're tight with your money in your personal life, you may not spend enough in your business life. Does that make sense? So your business grows to the extent that you do. So your behavior is a direct reflection of your business. Right? So let that soak in for a second. Okay. So some things there to break out of that. Again, it's an EDP conversation. Is what can I learn to retrain myself, not only personally, but also it shows up in my business, right? And a lot of times you'll see whenever things get a little heated or it's stressful or the economy turns, you're going to go back to that natural behavior, right? Everybody does. There's not a right or wrong. It's just a fact. Okay. That makes sense? Okay. Yes.
Okay, so You retrain yourself the first year or the second year, whatever.
Yes,
And
retrain yourself, correct?
Do you do this every year?
You have to.
You have to. Okay,
Now-
along with this. Like, as far as like even behavior, just finding out if your business expenses or making, I guess, spending more on your business, or finding the right numbers and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, that's retraining yourself as well.
So the question Linda asked was, do you do this every year? And then do your expenses change every year? So the answer is yes, right? And you want to, let's look at it from a personal aspect. When you're individual, did your expenses stay a certain way and your spending? When you got in a relationship, did your personal expenses change in how you spent your time? When you had kids, if you have children, did your time and expenses change again? 100%. When you got in business, did your personal expenses and your time with your kids and your significant other, everything change again? Absolutely. So it's an everlasting evolution. Now, there's a point, which we'll go over here with the vision board. Once you get to the point where you want to be, Linda, in life, and it's supplying what you want, sure, you're good. But that depends on what your vision is, which we're going to talk about as well. Okay? So I'll leave you one more thing here, and we'll make sure that no one else has questions. When I am able to meet with Gary Keller right now once a month, which is great, there's 3 things he always focuses on, right? The first is thinking. That's where he spends 80% of his time, is on how we think, because he's constantly wanting us to change the thinking about our expenses, our lead generation. It's all thinking. That's all it is, right? The second thing is who we're in business with. Who you're in business with is important. It doesn't necessarily mean a team, but also who you choose to be in business with. For example, Keller Williams, your loan officer, your title company, your inspector, right? Your clients, because I'm sure for those who've been in business, there's clients that you probably said, you know what, I don't know if I want to do business with them. Who you're in business with matters. Who you determine wealth for matters. And then third is lead generation. Now that you're thinking correctly, now that you know who you want to be in business with, how are you going to direct business to grow? And you can take that and apply to car sales, to jewelry sales, to clothing sales, to real estate sales. Does that make sense? Okay. So who has a question that is stuck on one of these numbers, or even better, would like to share? That was really, no one's hands went up. Did y'all hear me? Anybody like to share? Steve already shared. Thank you very much.
Denton, I am in my 3rd year of real estate, and
Awesome.
my numbers have been affected by life events, major life events that have
Sure.
occurred each of those 3 years.
Yes, ma'am.
However, I have done business. It's not been phenomenal, but it's been helpful. And
Okay.
I'm blessed that I have a state retiree annuity, so it's not life or death. However, I do
Good.
want to excel. And so what I'm hearing from you is giving me hope that even though I have been licensed 3 years, there's no time like the present to jump in and take charge. So I appreciate this class.
Good, good. And that's a great segue to what we're going to move to next, because at the end of the day, I can't motivate anybody. In theory, I can't keep anybody accountable, right? I mean, yes, Lindsay and I have an accountable relationship, but at the end of the day, if she doesn't want to do it, she's not going to do it. Would you agree with that? Right? It's going to have to be her choice to do it, right? There's even plenty of books that there's actually never really an accountable person. There's only a determined person. And that determination comes from what I call a North Star, which is, Linda, what do you want out of life? Steve, what do you want out of life? Tanisha, what do you want out of life? And is your job and income going to be able to support that? Because that's what's going to drive it, right? Whether it be, again, 100,000 or 100 million, doesn't matter. All the basics are the same. And if you can get to that number to get to the life you want is key. The problem I usually see from a lot of people when I interview or meet is they don't really know where they want to go. meaning I want to make a lot of money. Well, what does that mean? Well, I want to have nice things. Well, what does that mean? I want to be able to travel around month. Well, what does that mean? We're going to go through exercise. That's why the first part of this is all mindset thinking. And then if the why is big enough, the how doesn't matter, right? Let me give you an example. Who has kids in here? Awesome. So majority of the room. How many people have kids on the call? On the Zoom call? You can count your dogs as well. Oh, there we go. We got more people now. Dogs are not more important than your kids. I know for some of you they are. What would you do for your kids? Anything. Absolutely anything. I have 2 young kids too. Okay. Do you take that same approach with your business? Or do you cut yourself slack? Right? That's the litmus test. Now, it may be because you don't really understand or know what to put effort towards, which is what we're going to talk about, but that's the litmus test. If you can approach your kids that way, so you know you're mentally able to do that, can you approach your business that way? Does that make sense? Okay, anybody want to share? Tanisha, you want to share? You're looking at me. No? You don't have to share number 1. How about you share 2?
You want me to share my number?
Yeah.
I have 200,000.
Okay, on number 1? Okay, so number 1, Tanisha's going to share. She put 200,000, the amount of money I need to pay for my lifestyle and get out of debt. Does that cover all your sausage biscuits? Okay, I just know how much you love them. What are your expenses?
That's what I'm working on. Like, I have a P&L statements, I have all that, but because define expenses.
Okay,
Because that's, I mean, with me, I had salary,
so we'll keep it simple.
so yeah, so.
After your amount of money, let's say you GCI'd whatever it is, 300,000. How much money's left?
So last year I paid out 120,000.
Perfect. 120,000. So you're about a $10,000 a month expense in your business. Great. Thank you for sharing. What is your average commission?
Average commission is 85.50.
85.50. Okay. These are real numbers, guys. I'd write these down. This is a good way to measure against where you want to go. Tanisha, you're number 1 or 2 in the office? Number 2. Where's Carol? Is she on here? Carol, you're number 1, right? Where's Carol? I saw her on here. Sorry, I just want, oh, there she is. Why are you smiling so big, Carol? Nice. But look, number 1 in the office, number 2 in the office, individual agent. Congrats. Okay. So your average commission amount is how much? 85.50. We use 9,000 as an average. 85.50 is a good number, a real number. How many listing appointments did you go on last year?
Yeah, so 4 or 5, you can skip me on that.
Okay, so here's a good thing. Number 2 in the office, number 1 office, and she's not sure where she went on listing appointments. Totally okay.
So, and I can explain that. So I don't, that's an area of my business that I don't keep track of.
It's totally okay.
Just because when your business is referrals, you know you slam dunk.
But what the point I want to drive home here is, that's okay.
Yeah.
What you measure does improve, but if you wanted to increase your listing inventory, this would be a tough conversation to have. But this is why you're still here, right? So you still go. Gary's always said, building a business is flying a burning plane, which means you have to get up and go. You have to get up and go. You can't just sit on the ground. But while you're flying, there's always going to be one of the 4 engines on fire, no matter what. Right? Right now, this is an engine on fire for you. Totally cool. You can attack it, and then you get to a different elevation. And then guess what? One of the engines isn't going to be built for that elevation, and it's going to be on fire again. To Linda's point, that's when you have to recreate yourself again. Our company, Dare, is in the process of recreating themselves. We've hit a plateau of around $55, $60 million in sales. Can't get past it the last 3 years. Right? That's our plateau that we're bursting through. So listings you don't know. Do you know buyer appointments? Okay. Do you know the number of listings you sold? I know she knows this. Yeah. How many less than Carol did you sell? Oh, I'm sorry. How many listings did you sell last year?
Listings I sold last year was 16.
16.
Buyers, I sold 38.
Okay. 16 and 38. Wow. 38 buyers. That's awesome. That's awesome. So just based on, well, so Lindsay said that's exhausting. So one point we'll talk about lead generation is, Carol, do you want to share your numbers in a second? Just kidding. So I want to drive this point home. Yeah, I want to drive this point home. I want to have fun, but I want to make sure you hear this point. Tanisha, 16 sale listings, 38 buyers. She is maxed out. She can't do any, I don't even have to ask her. I just know based on business, she cannot do anymore. Right? Because of the buyers. So one thing that she should look at for 2021, if she wants, is to switch those numbers or get even with those numbers. Now, what does that mean? Change your thinking, one, and two, she might have to get in business with somebody. Showing specialists, buyer's agents, something like that. Everybody tracking with me? Give me a thumbs up on Zoom. Thumbs up on Zoom. Okay. Number of names in your database.
I have, okay, so total database, I have 1356.
1356, great. And tell us your team consistency right now. Just you, no assistant?
Just me.
Okay, me, myself, and I. So one person, she definitely needs help, guys. We're gonna do a posting later. Okay, thank you for sharing. So now let's do a couple things. What were the ahas from going through that from a high producer in our office? Zoom, I need that too. What were your ahas? What did you have clarity on? Jay?
She has the same problem as all of us.
Absolutely, she just has bigger problems. So I make a joke about this, but would you rather have $1 million problems or $50,000 problems? You're gonna have the same problems at every level. I promise you the billionaires have the same problems. They just have different ones. Matter of fact, billionaires technically have bigger problems because they're getting sued on average about 12 times a year.
And you have to know your numbers to know where there's opportunities.
So Lindsay said you have to know your numbers to know where those opportunities are.
So just as easy for her, like she'll just balance out the buyers and the listings, she buys time back. She makes the same amount of money, but she buys the time back. That's like such a simple fix. Or you get into the business with a buyer's agent and they can increase those buyers' numbers and you can increase listings to get more time in your network.
So what Lindsay just said, so everybody on Zoom can hear it, looking at her business quickly right now, she almost already has an action plan for next year, which is just flipping from listings to buyers, get more time back, make them at the same amount of money, and then you have the ability now to hire somebody on your team because you have opportunity for somebody. Or that be, I would suggest admin, but you have opportunity for somebody. Okay. All right. Jay, you had a, did you have a hall, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's German?
Herman.
Herman? Okay.
So basically, it's, I need to flip my business. I have same issue.
Okay.
A lot of buyers and to few listings.
Okay.
Obviously, buyers are more time consuming.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the commitment that I have. I mean, I need to find the right balance.
Okay. So Herman here in the class said the same thing. He's heavy on the buyers and low on the listings. So let me tell you, of my first 100 sales I've ever done in my career, guess how many of them were listings? Anybody? Zoom?
20.
Tessa, it wasn't 0. 20. Who said 20? There you go. My first 100 sales in real estate, 20 of them were listings, 80 of them were buyers. I hired a coach. The first thing he said was, "Are you tired yet?" And I said, "Yes." Okay. So we don't get this clarity without looking in the mirror and saying where I am today. Okay, one more aha from this. Anybody else have an aha? This is a very key component. This is getting on the scale and looking at yourself and say, I need to lose some weight. Which
Mimi's
does
got her hand raised.
Who does?
Mimi, she's on the Zoom. She's got her hand
Okay.
raised. I don't know if
Will you unmute her so she can talk?
there she
It
goes.
was an accident.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Tessa has your hand raised. Tessa.
Yeah, I actually have a aha, and there are some things in the chat, by the way, Denton, if you want to read them. I think it's interesting. I do my business plan every year. May not always stick to it, but I do it. But I thought was interesting this year versus the last couple of years is the numbers I knew this year were completely not the numbers I knew last year. So I find it interesting the things that I've been tracking differently this year. Like I knew exactly the listings I sold. I knew all that, but I didn't know, like right now I'm like, oh, how much are my expenses? Like when's the last time I looked at them? So that was an aha to me, which before I knew exactly how much I spent and where I spent it, and this year's gotten pretty out of hand and not gone as expected, but
Yeah,
I
hey,
think it's
not just you, it's everybody.
yeah, I think it's interesting that I was like, oh, I fell asleep here, like where normally I don't, you know?
Sure. Just a little switch in focus.
Yeah, exactly. I switched my focus so that I knew my numbers. I knew exactly how many listings I went on. I knew all that, but I didn't know what I was spending or like, I looked a different direction. I just think it's really interesting because usually I don't know how many appointments I went on, but I know exactly what I spent. So I just thought it was interesting that I'm 9 years in the business and you still lose track. So that's all I would say.
100%. Awesome. Thank you, Tessa. Okay. Any other ahas before we move to the next page?
Hey, Denton, a couple people asked on the chat if they missed Tanisha's business expenses amount. If you could repeat that.
It is $10,000 a month.
And then somebody
So-
else asked about, are you using your gross commission or your net?
We used her gross commission.
And I have to remember last year I had an assistant. so
It's
I-
okay.
oh,
It's okay.
I'm not-
No one just, people just want to write down numbers because it's reality. So Linda asked a question, how often do you look at your expenses? So best practice is once a month. But if you're getting into this now, I would suggest going through, which I've done with my coach plenty of times, and you look at your expenses and highlight everything through green, meaning it absolutely generates business. Yellow, not sure if you need it, and black, you got to cut it. Okay. And you probably want to do that. You could do it in a week, depending on it, but you'd want to revisit it monthly. So, give or take, if you're going into a new venture, like we have a separate P&L just for our ISA division, if that makes sense. Have a separate P&L just for the Facebook ads to make sure how much we're spending on Facebook and are we getting any return from it. But that's getting a little bit down the rabbit hole, if that makes sense. I was on a call with Lance Loken last week, and he has a P&L literally for almost every individual on the team. Right? But that's how in-depth you can go on how aggressive you want to be with your business. Okay, Lori, what other questions do we have in the chat before we move on?
I think that's it.
Okay, so now we're going to move to the fun stuff now that you looked yourself in the mirror, right? But I recommend going deep on that. We're going to talk about 2 of 9 ways mega agent millionaires think, right? 2 of 9. This is the truncated version because there's 9 ways in the red book. We're going to talk about the first 2. One is think powered by a big why. So somebody in the class or on Zoom, tell me what a big why is to you. What is a big why?
My family,
Your family. Awesome. Who said that?
Christina Gorley.
Thank you, Christina. What other big why? Your retirement. Okay. So I like to pick on Tanisha, so I'm just going to go a little deeper on this why. Do you know what that actually is specifically? Like how much money do you need to retire?
I've gotten close.
Okay.
I haven't really defined.
Good. It's okay. I'm picking on you because I know you're going to find that number. But that's just an example of I want you to get that number. It could be totally wrong, but I want you to have a number to work towards. Otherwise, how do you know it's working? Okay. So retirement. Who else? Shazam. $273,000 is a big why. Awesome. Now, what does that $273,000 do for you? Because I know you just don't want to roll around the money. Well, I mean, after you roll around in the money, what are you going to use it for?
So I always believe if your big why doesn't have a number attached to it.
Correct.
Then you're not as committed to it.
Correct.
So for me, that number goes back to making sure that expenses are paid and I'm out of debt, and then I can switch my why to what the next thing is. But until I can successfully get this one, nothing else matters.
Yes.
So it's, yeah, my family, but what exactly does that mean? It means $273,000.
Yep, 273. So what Shazam said for everybody on Zoom, I'll repeat it. Unless it's specific big why, meaning she knows $273,000 is what she needs to get in order to get what she wants in her life, build a life by design. It's not about the money, but what the money can do. She really doesn't know if you're heading towards it. And so this is what I mean by North Star. How many people, including myself, have said, I would love to do that someday, and it actually never happened, or still hasn't happened? I'll raise my hand twice. Done that all day. The more specific, which I'm going to show you, and even play a little video on how to get specific, and even have Lindsay share a little bit of her story, you actually start hitting some of those goals. And some of the cool things, and I don't know if Lindsay will share this part, but I'll share it for her. Once she got to the point where she got that goal, that particular goal wasn't that important. Right? And I'll let her share that example. Okay. So anybody else have a big why they like to share? Awesome. Sue? You're on mute, Sue.
My big why is boost my confidence and achieve and enhance my American dream. I running a big brokerage company in China. I have the agent 103. So that's why I immigrate in America. But after the three years gap, I have to be homestay mom. So this year, I want to enhance American life and just to try it. Is that's the same job, the same processing? Is that work in America? So.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. So what I heard was you're an immigrant that came here. You already have a brokerage with 103 agents back overseas.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're here local in the U.S. and you want to take that American dream like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And I get that because my parents were immigrants from the Philippines and migrated here in the late 60s to give me this great opportunity. And now you want to really realize that and have the confidence to do here in the U.S.
Yes, correct.
That's awesome. That is a big why there. Very good. So let me share my big why. So it's not me. I know that's a picture of me, but it's not me. So right there in the middle is my personal mission statement and big why. Now I have a lot of little whys on the way. Which is like, let's use some materialistic things. I want to have a certain car. I want to own a vineyard. I want to do this. But my big driving why is I want to build a life that helps people, including myself, make decisions that are not held hostage by either my finances, my health, my relationships, or my mindset. Now, what does that mean tactically, real life? Well, it means I've come up against a lot of things myself and met a lot of people that have come against a lot of things themselves that like to do some great things, but they don't have the money to do it. They don't have the finances. Maybe you want to help a friend out. Maybe you want to help a family member out. Maybe you need something in your life, but you don't have the finances to do it. That's obviously an easy one that I see a lot of. Second, health, right? Maybe you're not taking care of yourself or you're not quite as energetic. And I don't necessarily mean like, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm talking about just what's your energy like? Like when you wake up in the morning, do you want to come to work? Right? Do you have the energy, or are you dreading every time you look at something? Relationships. This is a big one. Who you in business matters. Who you surround yourself with will determine your trajectory. There's a great quote that Gary has always said. I'm sure he stole it from somebody else. If you take the 5 people you hang around the most, you can average your income, and that's probably what you make, because that's how you're thinking. It doesn't mean get rid of your friends. Let me make sure you understand that. It just means you need to go and mastermind and talk with other people doing with what you want to do so you can soak it in and think like them, right? This is a big thing. This is something Lindsay kind of struggled with, including myself, as she progressed through her career. Would you agree, Lindsay? Yeah, because they still saw you as a teacher, which there's nothing wrong with that, that had afternoons off that could go have happy hours, right? So relationship 2 is also, are you in a relationship that you need to get out of? That's a big one. Is someone holding you back? Is someone not supporting you? Is somebody telling you you can't do it? That's a really big issue and segues into my last one, which is by far the most important one, which is mindset. Right? And I like using cliches because I think it's simple to communicate, but whether you believe it or not, you're right. If you believe you can do it, You got it? If you believe you can't do it, you're right as well, right? The resounding factor is other people have done it before you, so you know it can be done. The question is, can you have it be done? Right? That's mindset. Anybody have any questions or ahas on big whys? Living a big life. Tanisha?
I have a question. I think if anything, understanding your why can change.
100%.
So.
I've been working on that one for a decade, right? Decade. So Tanisha said, she just said, I realize your understanding your why can change. 100%.
Of where you are in your life,
Yeah.
mentally and personally.
Well, from life events, it changed when I got married, changed when I had my first child, changed when I had my second child, maybe a third child. Don't tell Brandy yet. Yeah, don't call Brandy. Listen, I'm going to teach a class on that. Okay. Once you get your big why, you can come up with a mission statement, right? I've got an exercise I'll email everybody out to actually come up with a mission statement. It was actually taught in Quantum Leap, the original version. They took it out, and it was one of my favorite things. Dick was unfortunately said, yeah, I wish it was in there too. It'll help you create a generic mission statement that you can slowly build on. Make sense? We don't have time to go over today. So now I'm going to turn it over for about 10 minutes to Lindsay to talk about her big why. And we have what's called a vision board. I'm going to have her walk through it, and then I'm going to play a video from Jack Canfield about a vision board. So Lindsay, if you want to step in front of the Zoom, speak loudly, you can take that off and tell them about
Are
your
y'all okay
vision
if I
board.
take this off up here? Yes? Okay, cool. I promise I won't spit more than 6 feet.
You want me to hold that while you talk?
No, I'm okay.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, if you want to hold it. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
I just want to make
um,
sure it's in camera.
Yeah, so we do every year at our annual business planning, we do what we call a vision board. Mine has changed over the years. Yeah.
Hold on, let me, I've got to stop sharing. screen. Yep, let me change. No, you're good.
Do you mind if I take a picture of that?
Of course not. Let me get to Zoom.
You know, people in Zoom follow me.
I'll keep going while he figures it out. So we do an annual vision board. Over the years, mine has just got more particular. So it may start out with quotes that you find interesting or speak to you. I split mine up between half business and half personal. And then I pull things off of here as I need. Oh, look at that. There's Bonnie's.
Yep.
So I'll just kind of go through mine with you. This right here is a picture of our team and then a number one. I have to keep that in mind. I want to be number one in the region in North Texas, New Mexico, and Memphis.
What is that going to take?
$4 million in GCI this year, which will be 5 by the time we get there. And so I've got mapped out how many agents that's going to take, how much profit that's going to take, blah, blah, blah. I have to keep my eye on there because as like building anything else, you take 2 steps forward, you take 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And I can tend to get kicked in the stomach, and I have to, like, this is a living, breathing thing that I have to keep my eye on and know why I want there. I have a decent chip on my shoulder. And so I have to take back exactly who that is I want to take down, where I want to go, what it's going to feel like when we do that. I have to get really specific with myself. This is a big one for me. It says, be thankful for what you have, but be fearless about what you want. It's really easy for me to get content with what I have and be really grateful for where Dara is now and where I am in my role now. And I love that, but I also have to be fearless about me and my family and what I want moving forward. Denton can attest to that and being annoying. Down here, she knew the power of her mind, and so she programmed it for success. I had a lot of mindset stuff, as does everybody else from my childhood, right? I was raised by parents that told me, actually said the line, it's really hard to make $100,000. So I had that in my head coming into the business, that was going to be really hard for me to overcome that
And
number.
specifically, you were told you can't make $100,000 in real estate.
Yes. My dad used to work for Keller Williams, oddly. And so I was told these specific things. And so I realized quickly as I came in that I had to feed my mind. And just like Denton said several times, if you believe it, you're right. And I believed what my dad had raised telling me. And so I was right. And so I had to reprogram that. I still right now am currently reprogramming myself around my health. And so anything that's going into my ears right now is about my health. And I'm just consuming my mind with it because I've done a decent job at, what's the word? Some stamina on business. Being positive in a negative situation is not naive, it's leadership.
And then the challenge of leadership is to be strong but not rude, be kind but not weak, be bold but not bully, be thoughtful but not lazy, be humble but not timid, be proud but not arrogant, and have humor but without folly. So being a leader on the team, that is something I'm having to learn, holding people accountable and being kind in the process. Over here, you come to my personal side. We're going to take this one off right now. Y'all can see me. I've achieved this
What'd you
during
achieve?
Corona. This was my first big goal. And like Denton said, when I got it the first time, it wasn't important. We actually moved 45 days later. So I just did it for the second time.
Sorry, I don't want to glance over that. Her big why at one point in time was to have a pool. She got the pool and then moved, sold the house 45 days later. So every time she gets a pool, we figure it's time for her to move.
Yeah, I haven't done it yet.
Oh, she hasn't done it yet.
Although we did this summer. We drove down to Austin and looked at houses.
There you go.
I thought if you ever make a big change, Corona was the time to do it, right? Okay, so that can come off. Family isn't just an important thing, it's everything. So one of my giant goals when I started with Denton, I had one baby, she was 5 months old. And I told him from year one, when she gets into kindergarten, I will pick her up every day. That is a hard line for me in the sand. And so she's now in 3rd grade and I've picked her up every single day. She now gets off the bus, thankfully, and I can keep working at my desk and she lets herself in. Now I have a second baby that is 5. This is my last year with him out of kinder. And so he is now home with me 2 days a week also. And so that for me is that's over here to the be fearless about what you want. There will be a day and age that my kids can take care of themselves and they can run and do. But for now, right now, I get these years and I'm almost not going to cry. He's going to go to kinder next year and it's different. And so, oh my God. He's at my husband's work right now and I will go right back and get him. And so that is everything for me to keep that. And I have to keep that in front of me because there are days that is hard. And I am naturally like to run at my business a lot harder than I like to run at being a mom, just being really blunt. And so I have to keep this in front of me, that my years are short with them.
But that's good. And I'm not making fun of it, but having this vision board in front of you because you are a driver, you said something that probably you wouldn't have said maybe 5 years ago, but you tend to run at your business harder than you do at your family, right? And there's a lot of people that do that. There's nothing wrong with it. You just have to correct it. Be it you're out of balance, you got to come back, right?
Yep.
So thank you for sharing that.
Let's see. Your time as a caterpillar has expired. Your wings are ready to fly. I've been timid in years past. Who am I now? Just keeping an eye on what do I want. When they talk about your big why, and for Shalina back there, it's $273,000. For Tanisha, it's for retirement. For me, it is literally being able to do whatever I want to do when I want to do it. And that's heading toward my retirement, that I know exactly how much money that is a month. I know exactly what that big number is. It scares the living crap out of me. But I want to be able to do whatever I want to do and I want to do it. I wanted to be able a couple of months ago during Corona to make the decision to put my son in 3 days a week school so that I could be home with him. Dan and I talked, I could figure out my job and we're making it work. I want to constantly run toward that and run to opportunities that allow that, right? So that's having a database big enough that I can work with who I want to work with that understands I have a kid. That's running at opportunities that when somebody comes at you with an opportunity, I can say, yes, that's fine, but here's my line in the sand. Can this work with that? And we can or we can't. Opportunities don't happen, you create them. So I would say prior could have tended to be a sit back and wait for somebody to hand me something. Maybe if you're new in the business, that's sitting back and waiting for the friend to say, hey, will you come sell my house? It's not going to happen. Like, you have to go create that opportunity. You have to get in front of them. You have to ask for the business. I've become relentless about that in my business, and also figuring out ways within Keller Williams that I can create opportunity for myself while building a big world within Denton's world. I have a Porsche on here. It's going to stay on here for a long time.
Whose Porsche is that?
Golly Jesus, it's my husband's. He wants a Porsche so bad. If you haven't met him, he's Austin Knight. He's a closer for Lawyer's Title.
Close your business with him so you can get that Porsche,
Please.
that back porch.
So I can take this off too. He wants a Porsche.
Yeah, I'm joking.
Sorry.
He doesn't want a back porch. He wants actually a Porsche.
No, we got the back porch during Corona. Yep. And then if you turn it to the back, the last thing this is something that I saw at a park when Denton and I first started the team. And he is more of the visionary and I am more of the integrator. I am the feet on the ground, like I'm going to run as fast as I can while he lives in the clouds and like has this giant vision.
Let's be a little better description and live in the clouds.
it's really good. He can see things I can't see. So I've had to live by this while trying to chase Denton is go as far as you can go. And when you get there, you can see further. So tonight we're hosting 1,200 people at the Rough Riders ballpark. I'm really nervous right now and freaked out by it. But 8 years ago, I would have never fathomed us being able to do something like this. But as each step, if you're brand new to this, like you go as far as you can see. You go to next year. And I know everybody says begin with the end in mind. What do you want long-term? Do your 5-year goal. That's great. I struggle with that. So go as far as you can see. When you get there, you can see new opportunities and you can see new things and how new things work out. So don't get overwhelmed when you hear what these giant teams do. You do what you can see.
But to kind of go back to having a North Star is what did I tell you I want to do with that stadium? I want to run that stadium and do what?
Pack it. We want to fill it.
I want
20,000
all
people.
20,000+ people to be Dare clients. So now we're 10% of the way. 8%. I'm not really good at math. We're on our way. But we would never get to 1,200 if we really didn't think, how do we do 20,000? Now, I thought it was going to be of a baseball game. It wasn't. We rented out the baseball park and we're doing a movie on the big screen, providing trick-or-treating and social distancing so people can be all over the field, sit anywhere in the park and be away from everybody, but still seat 1,200 people and their kids, right? And this is for a lot of people, their trick-or-treat.
Mm-hmm.
We're playing Hotel Transylvania and everybody's dressing up. So, awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good job. So, everybody give Lindsay a round of applause, please. Everybody on my team has this because everybody has their own goals. They're not the same. I made a mistake earlier in my career thinking everybody wanted the same thing that I want, and it's not. Everybody wants what they want, and what I need to do is find out what they want and help them get there. That makes sense? So everybody has this on my team. Now, I say, if you don't have something like this, it's totally okay. We'll start working on it today, right? This is one of the homework items. What I will say is if you don't have it, then how do you know you're going in the right direction? You don't. At that point, any direction is good, and that's not a good thing for you. We call it a wandering generality or a wandering generality or purposeful specific. So are you just wandering around in your business generally? Or are you purposeful and specific about what you're going to get? And you can't do that unless you know what you want, right? We're going to go to page, and I'll get to you real quick, Suzanne. Page 8, which is called Goal Setting to the Now. Go over this, go to that page, and we're going to talk about it. Does everybody have this right here, Goal Setting to the Now? Okay, I want this in front of you.
Hey, Denton.
Because most people set goals by right now. They go to the bottom and go, right now, I need to pay my bills, which I get. Right now, I need this much money. Right now, I need this, which is fine. But the problem is when you work that way, guess what you're working towards? Just paying your bills, and that's it. And that's just the way our mind has been trained. I've had to debunk myself too that way. So we had to start on the top with a someday goal. Retirement, your big why, whatever it is. And if you don't know the dollar amount yet or what it's going to take, that's okay, but come up with a big why. So let me give you an example. Right now, and I'm working on my wife with this, I want to own 1,000 rentals, right? 1,000 rental homes. 1,000 rental homes, right? We're nowhere near there. My wife, who's a little more conservative, just wanted 10. Now I've got her up to 100, right? She's like, we can figure out how to get to 100. Well, if I have 1,000 up here, right? Someday I want 1,000 homes. We can work our way backwards and figure out today what specifically we need to do to be on track to have, let's say, 2 homes this year, to be on track to have 8 homes in 3 years, to be on track to have 50 homes in 5 years, to be on track in 7 years to have 100, to be on track in 10 years to have 300, because it's geometric progression, right? Just like our business. Once you get the first few hard, and then next thing you know, it's like, well, I sold 1 home. Well, now I sold 2 homes. Next, you know, you're selling 36 homes. You're selling 52 homes. It's the same thing with everything, whatever you apply to. So it's called goal setting to the now. Okay. So I'm going to ask everybody, get that out, right? I want to write 1 someday goal in your business up top, 1 someday goal in your personal life up top. Okay. Start there. Take about a minute to write it. 1 someday goal The more specific, the better it is, but if not, that's okay. This is why we're doing it. Okay, now that same someday goal, this is what's called alignment. 5 years from now, where would you like to be eventually be in line with your someday goal? 5 years from now, where would you like to be in alignment with your someday goal? So for example, mine, 1,000 rentals. I think 5 years from now, if we can be at 100, we'll be on the track to eventually on 1,000. Okay. 1 year goal. Where would you like to be this year to be on track 5 years from now to be on track someday to hit your goal? Okay. Where do you need to be in the next 30 days to be on track in the next 12 months, to be on track over the next 60 months, to be on track someday to hit your goal? This is where it starts getting confusing for people because they don't know what to do, but that's okay. That's why we're working backwards from a North Star. This is the litmus test to go from a wandering generality to a purposeful specific. Okay. Where do you need to be in the next 7 days to be on track? In a month? To be on track in a year? That way, over the next 60 months, you'll be on track to hit your someday goal. And then obviously, what do you need to do daily? What is your daily goal? For some, it's easy. You're going to see today when we look at the lead gen model, it's 20 contacts a day, 30 contacts a day.
Hey,
To be on
Dan,
track for your weekly goal, for your monthly goal, 1 year goal, 5 year goal, someday goal. And then when you go all the way back down, you'll know what you need to do right now. You'll be able to walk out of here knowing your action plan, which we got there fast with Tanisha, but it might be for her switching her business from buyer heavy to listing heavy would allow her to get to where she wants to go. Was there a question online?
yes.
Okay,
Kate
go
Rogers
ahead.
is asking, the goals, she says, for instance, her someday goal is to pay for her three kids' college.
Awesome.
That would be both business and personal. To bring that down in line, should she break it down to
Okay.
break it down to money, to bring it down to the right goal, right now goal?
Yep. It's going to have to be money. So let's do this. Is she on the line?
She is. Her mic's not working, but she's on.
Okay. So if she can type in the chat, if you can hear me, what is it going to cost someday to send 3 kids to college? I don't know how old they are, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. What is it going to cost? Does anybody know the numbers? Okay. I would guess it's going to be at least $300,000. Is that a fair number? 100,000 each? That's fair?
That's for what, for kids?
For one child to go to a, not Harvard, but not you know,
Oh, yeah, education.
about 100.
Yeah.
Okay, so the someday goal would be $300,000. Now, I don't know how old they are. If she has one that's 17, she might be behind the 8 ball.
They're all babies.
But they're all what?
Babies.
Awesome. Well, then she's ahead of the curve. 5 years from now, this is where it gets tough. I understand a lot of people base it on their current income, but if they're babies, let's say the oldest is 4, she's got 14 years to put this someday goal plan together. So 5 out of those 14 years, what dollar amount would you like to be at, saved in the bank, untouched, to be on track someday to have 300K in the bank? Okay, have her type that in the chat. It doesn't matter the number, it matters that she puts a number. Somebody write this down for me. Will you write it up here? Put 300,000 as a someday goal. What did she type in the 5-year goal, Lori?
She hasn't yet. She said 18,000 in 5 years.
Okay, 18,000. Okay, so let's do the math. In 18,000 in 5 years, how much more is she going to have over the next, let's call it 9 years? Somebody do 300,000 minus 18,000. 282. So ask her, is 282,000 over those next 9 years feasible? Or does she need more money in the bank in 5 years?
She said more in 5.
Yep, exactly. This is why we do it. This is why you got to be specific, because you'll get 5 years and only have 20 and realize, oh crap, that's not enough. So tell her to redo the goal. Again, think big. The number doesn't matter. Maybe better. What would she like to have 5 years from now in the bank to be on track someday to pay for a $300,000 education for her kids? That's icing on the cake.
She said 75,000.
Perfect, 75,000. Okay, just for easy math, I'm going to divide that 75,000 by 5. Somebody do that for me. It's about 18,000 roughly. 15,000. Okay, put the 1-year goal as 15,000. Okay, now I understand it can increase over time. Maybe you want that to be more of a hockey stick, but just for purposes of the class, let's say 15,000 over the next 5 years. Each year, that's 75K. Everybody on track? Okay, divide that by 12, Lindsay. It's a little over 1,000 a month.
Hey, didn't
$1,250 a month. Okay,
Carol was asking, are we using simple interest or compound?
well, that does go into the 100% because you couldn't put it in a compound interest. That's icing on the cake. Let's assume you stuff it in your mattress and it makes no interest. Let's use worst case scenario. Worst case scenario.
Or that's where your this week goal is to find a financial advisor
Yeah.
that can figure that out for you.
And Lindsay said that this week goal is to find a financial advisor, but I want you to work off worst case scenario, right? So there is no interest, but yes, you can absolutely do that. You can also put the money in an investment fund, right? But let's keep going. So $1,250 a month. Divide that, let's just say 4 to keep it simple. 4. Divided by 4 for 4 weeks.
I can't divide by 4 in my head.
1,250 divided by 4. Somebody please.
Anybody want to do old school math here?
312.
312. Okay. Divide that by 7. Divided by 7. 312.
7, 4,
312 weekly divided by 7.
44.
Okay. $44.64 a day.
67.
Sorry, 44 cents. Somebody give me the right number.
$44.
$44, let's say 45, just to be safe, since we're not getting any interest, Carol.
Roll up that.
$45 a day over the next 60 months to be on track to make 75,000.
Hang tight, y'all. We lost him again.
Oh, that's right, that's right. It is gorgeous outside.
Very funny.
Yeah.
Now you're not eating as being a leader.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I have said that.
When
my neighbor texted me last night, it's gonna be really tall, it's like, yeah, it's gonna be perfect.
Okay, sorry, it cut me off again. Everybody, can y'all hear me again? Thumbs up, please. I'm so sorry for the tech difficulties. All right, so let's review real quick, and then I've got a few things I want to say, a video to play, and we'll take a quick break. And then the rest of the classes are going to go super fast because it's easy. But we got to do the inner work first before we can do the outer work. Okay, so does everybody on track? I don't know where it cut off, Lori, with $45 a day. And the question is, if you have that cash flow now, then you're already there. You just need to stock it away, not spend it on extracurricular things, coffee, shoes, etc. If you don't have it, then you got to work, and that's part of your business plan on how to have an excess of $45 a day in your business so you can be on track to have that 75K 5 years from now. And this is the beginning of how you become a purposeful specific versus a wandering generality, so you don't look up and only have 18.5 5 years from now. We changed the whole dynamic of your kids' savings in a 5-minute conversation. Okay? So now that we've gone through that, I've lost Tanisha. She's eating a sausage biscuit. But give me your ahas and thoughts about that simple exercise that's very boring, but gives you absolute clarity on what you have to do. I need ahas. Let's do five ahas.
I think something you mentioned, it really triggered something in my head that I need to align these goals with my wife's goals.
Okay?
She always complains that I'm not in the house around enough. So that's important. That's important. And you see that I match whatever I had in my head with my wife's goals.
Yes.
Because if you have that disparity, then,
Yes.
you know.
You're just wandering.
Exactly.
So Armand said he just realized that he usually sets yearly goals that has nothing to do to correspond where he wants to go, big picture, that hopefully he'll just hit it. But now you're going to get more specific about it, right?
No, I wanted to do it with my wife.
Yes, with your wife, 100%.
So her goals are aligned with me.
Yes.
Because, you know, like you said, you know, if we had kids, we gotta.
Yes. So we'll do 4 more ahas, but I do want to bring up a point because Tanisha said it and Herman said it. There is a class called the One Thing Couples Retreat. It's not for couples, they just call it that, but it actually is absolutely great. It goes very in depth on what we're talking about here on goal setting to the now. When I was there, half the people were single. It doesn't matter. I don't know why they call it couples retreat, but the one that you said, Herman, is you want your wife to go so y'all can be on track on the same goals, right? Now, let me challenge you on this. It's actually going to be 2 sets of different goals. Now, why is that?
So 2 different people. Right?
2 different people. You'll have some goals that are probably aligned, but probably the biggest aha that Brandy had and I had when we went there is she thought we were going to set goals together. It's absolutely not. You set goals separately. You set goals separately. And as Jay and Wendy were interviewed among many other people on the call, they talked about in a certain point, somebody's always going to be in the back seat. Now, maybe back seat this month, this week, whatever, but somebody's always in the back seat supporting the other one in the goals they want. Does that make sense? Jay wanted a ranch. Wendy despises it, doesn't want a ranch, thinks it's the dumbest idea to spend money. Jay put it on his goal. Jay hit the goal, what he needed to buy the ranch. Jay bought the ranch, Wendy supported him even though he didn't want it. Right? That's how the relationship works, and it's still a positive relationship.
And Wendy's there right now with her truck.
At the ranch, Wendy's at the ranch that she didn't want because Jay wanted on his goals, hear that, his goals. Now, when she has goals, he has to take a step back and support her. And trust me, they both have big roles in their businesses. Okay, 4 more ahas.
I'll add to that, and I just think the vision board really helps, because by doing that, I think it helps you focus on really narrowing down to one thing. 'Cause in essence, you're establishing what your values are.
Yeah,
And then it leads you back, and it makes it much easier to come up, because that's just the thing that overwhelms me, is trying to get it down to my one thing. And I'll put all these things down there, and I think that vision board was very helpful to do that.
awesome. So Paul said the vision board helped him really understand clarity on his one thing, because right now he was just attacking everything, or as some people say, going an inch thick, inch deep on 12 different things versus going a mile deep on one thing. Now that he has a vision board and now can get some alignment, he knows exactly what he needs to do today. For example, what's the goal of a football team in the NFL? Win a Super Bowl. What's the big goal? Win every Super Bowl. Does any team ever go into the career without trying to win a Super Bowl or season? Right. Well, sorry, the Cowboys, Jay said the Cowboys, right? But at the end of the day, I like using sports analogies. Are you waking up every day and going towards your Super Bowl, which is your vision board? That's the difference between highly successful people and people that are still stuck. The highly successful people know where they want to go and how to get there. And that's what we're doing today. Have to be able to see it. Yeah. Now I can't see further than, a couple of days really in real life, but I know that, okay, this wasn't right. Pivot, 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 pivot. I mean, how many people had to pivot this year? It was forced pivot, forced pivot. Well, if you can do that pivot without forcing, right, then you're on the track. Okay, 3 more ahas. No, 2 more. Sorry, 2 more ahas. Anybody on Zoom have aha?
Yep, Kate's aha is to think bigger.
Think bigger. And can you dive deep a little bit, Kate? Where did that come from? What caused you to think bigger? She answer?
She's typed. She's got to put it in the chat.
Okay.
She said she's making the goal right now. She can bring more. I think she's still typing.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I would assume, and I hate to assume, but when she realized in 5 years, 18.5, and over the next 9 years, you have to have 282,000, she probably realized, okay, that's not going to work, right? That's why we do this, as simple method as it is. Okay, was that 5 or is that 4? 4. One more. Uno más. I know somebody else has got one.
Georgie,
just have a question.
the goal model.
Hold on one second. I got someone on Zoom and I'll come to you. Go ahead, Lori.
Georgiana said the big goal model was her aha.
Good. The big goal model. And then Shazam, what do you have to say?
I was saying, looking at Lindsay's vision board, I've done vision boards that were like the size of that whiteboard and had images of everything.
Yeah.
And looking at it where you don't have to do everything. And so when I was going through, the someday down, well, mine is to own Sleepaway Summer Camp. And in order for me to know what that number is, I have to do years worth of planning. And so going back and looking at the board, instead of trying to, I want a camp, I want this, I want that. No, if you want the camp, then that someday time, focusing on how much this is going to cost me, which now I know, now maybe 5 million, but 10 years down the road, is that 5 million still the same? So
Yep.
I love looking at, sometimes simplicity is better than trying to conquer everything.
It's so much simpler. So Shazam said that you need to make your vision board simpler. That way, eventually you can get to where you want to go instead of trying to have everything in life, right? Now I'll leave with this and we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to do a video and then we're actually going to look at the 4 models. The 4 models are super simple. We can be done in 30 minutes. We'll probably spend about an hour on them. Okay.
And
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, it's Christina again. I have a quick question on the vision board. Would
Okay.
would it be something to consider to do a vision board broken down into 1 year and then another one for 5 and then maybe another one for your someday goal?
So here's what I would do. What I would suggest is have one vision board
Okay,
and have your 1 year on there. That's fine. Have
okay,
but have your someday on there for sure. So have everything on there that you want,
okay,
right? Just for a good exercise. And to Shalina's point, some of it you may not actually put on there, you may take off, or you may get there a little quicker, but you want one vision board with everything on it,
okay.
right? And when we get back, I'll have Jack Canfield do a 5-minute video about vision boards, because I know, you know, everybody when they join the team, they have to have a vision board within the first week, and they kind of make fun. It's like, I didn't know I was back in arts and crafts. And I go, well, sort of, but at the end of the day, this is your life. Where do you want to go, right? So the vision board is important. So let me end with this note, and then we'll take a 10-minute break and come back at 12:40. And I'm going to start promptly at 12:40. One of my mentors, his vision board, he has it and then duplicated 3 times. It's on one, he has 2 houses. He has a house here in Dallas that he has it on. He has a house in Colorado he has it on. And then he has a carry one that he carries on him at all times. So he's never without it. Every day when he wakes up, whether he's at home or in Colorado or traveling, the first thing that he sees and looks at is his vision board. First thing, right? Now, I know this is not about money, but money seems to be an easy way to examine if something is working or not. About 15 years ago, let's see, what is it? I would say, to be fair, about 18 years ago, right, in his mid-20s, he didn't think money was important. He traveled around the world for a year with about little less than $20. Thought it, you know, all the cliches, money's evil, don't need it, whatever. Today, he's worth a little over $100 million, right? And he attributes a lot of that to he never got off the path once he knew what the path was. That's why I'm spending so much time on this. Now, I'm not saying that you want 100 million, but you need to know your path, and then you won't be as confused on which direction to go, but it's your path. And the cool thing is, most people's paths, somebody else has gone before us. So once you figure out your path, we can say, oh, that's your path, go talk to Tanisha. That's your path, go talk to Carol. Oh, that's your path, go talk to Lindsay. Oh, that's your path, go talk to Nick. That's your path, hey, this person is doing that. And then now you start surrounding yourself with people that want to do what you want. Does that make sense? Is everybody tracking with me? Right? This is the foundation to do the next hour, hour and a half. And it has a lot more meaning than just putting a bunch of numbers in a spreadsheet and go, okay, just got to talk to 20 people a day and I'll make 100,000. That's a little bit more shallow and doesn't really get us where we want to go. Okay. Anybody have any questions or thoughts before we go?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Did you say if you need $300,000 that it's $45 a day? Was that what we came up with?
$45 a day to get there in 5 years, $75,000. What she's going to have to do is rework the math after the 5-year goal, because she does have a time limit. She'll have 9 years left to get $225,000. Now, ideally for her, her business and income is going to look totally different 5 years from now. But as of right now, $44 a day to get $75K in the bank 5 years from now. And then she's going to have to work on the other 225 over those next 9 years.
Okay.
Make sense?
One more question.
Yes.
Do you know what is the average income that you calculate, like rule of thumb, for rental properties? So if you have one rental house, how much more income does that bring you a year?
I don't know if there's a general rule of thumb, but I would say if you can get cash on cash return anywhere from 8 to 10%, you're doing pretty good.
So if you keep if you buy one rental property, what do you guesstimate is your income from that property in 1 year? And I'm saying you hold it.
Yeah, I mean, it's so general, but I can give you reality. So we bought a duplex for $180,000. we're cash flowing only $250 a month. So that's only about $3,000 a year roughly. But the icing on the cake is we recently refied it and took $50,000 out. So we got our original investment back and still cashing, flowing $250 a month, taking that 50K and buying another investment property. Or we already bought the other investment property and bought another one. So the cash flow is just one piece, and I can do a whole worksheet class because we can go more in depth. But to finish up this point, that we're not looking for cash flow. If you really want to do cash flow, then we're looking at a property in Broken Bow that will cash flow $9,000 a month in gross commission or gross rent income. But after the mortgage and rental fee, we'll probably be making about $2,000 a month. Now that's fully rented out, so we know that's not the reality.
Okay, so there's not like, so like you said, I want 100 rental properties. You didn't have like a number, like we need, like that gives us $200,000 income. You didn't do it that way?
No, but you can do it that way. You can just say, I want $200,000 from rental income and then back into how many rentals that is.
But
That
that's
could
what I'm
be
trying to
10
do.
rentals,
So
that
how
could
do
be-
you know what that number is?
Yeah. You will have to basically, and you know this, do a whole worksheet of the areas you want to buy, figure out the cash
Okay.
flow of that area, and if it's 250, then divide 250 into 200,000. That's how many rentals you'll need in that area. If you do 10 Broken Bow properties, it's going to be a lot faster and a lot better, but there's a lot more risk with a Airbnb,
Right, right.
right? So that's, you would back in 200,000 in passive income from rentals. Well, then, because right now you could go buy rentals in certain areas for 60,000 that cash flow a lot of money, but you're going to have other issues with a $60,000 rental. Okay?
Yep,
That's it.
okay, thank you.
It's not a number. Yeah, you're welcome. All right, 12:34. Let's do 12:45. Take a break, come back, and we'll get started. Thank you, guys.
My first grade here was like top of the
All right, Zoom peeps, we're gonna get started, so come back to your computers. All right, so how was the morning so far, or morning? How was the first hour and a half? Probably not what you expected. Okay, you gave me a thumbs up, awesome. Tell me a little bit about that. 3 thumbs up.
I had a huge aha whenever Selena was like, you know, she doesn't have one specific why for like overall thing. It's like, all right, let me knock these 2 years out to get to this big why.
Yes.
And, I believe it was Lindsay, she said whenever you get to certain levels, you're able to see.
Yes.
So like that kind of like
Good. What was your name?
Tristan.
Tristan, awesome. So Tristan said that he realized there's more than just one big why. There's a lot of little whys up. And once you get to some of those little whys, you're able to see further in your life. Awesome. Is it Dina?
Yes.
Dina?
No, usually people say Dana, so thank you.
I saw the E, so I just Dina.
For me, the biggest thing that stuck out was tracking.
Tracking.
Overall, everything we've been talking about, and definitely what we continue talking about, is the importance of tracking.
Tracking.
Because this is my first year, and it's learning about how to handle a business, and tracking keeps coming up, and right now I'm not succeeding in that area, so it's time for that retraining to take place in my life, just so I can be able to compare and be able to know what to pay.
Okay, awesome. So Dina said tracking became a big aha. Just understanding, knowing what's going on so you can make changes, right? Just tracking makes huge changes, right? Otherwise, how do you know it's the right direction?
Mm-hmm.
Good. So is it Letitia? Latasha, see, Dina screwed me up. Latasha, what was your aha?
I had a lot of aha.
Awesome. What was your favorite one?
The favorite one was just trying to get a foundation on how to run your business and how to measure your business.
Okay.
And also what Dina said, it's important to keep track and keep track.
Okay.
I kind of lose track.
So keeping track,
Yes.
you like, and just understanding how to build a proper foundation.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Who on Zoom has aha from this morning? Another aha. No sound, it's back. Okay, we're back. Anybody else have a aha? Probably not what y'all expected for the first hour and a half of business planning.
For me, it was just being able to break it down and see where all the numbers are coming from and moving from there.
You're awesome. That's my next segue. I'm going to keep paying you money. So every time I cue you, just segue me to the next segment. Okay, you're perfect. Absolutely perfect. So, her aha. Let's move to the first model of the 4 models. The economic model. Everybody go to this piece. The economic model. Okay. I'm going to pull it up as well. Now, I understand we're going to do 2 things. This is a $1 million net income economic model, but we're going to think big, and we're going to go through this. I'm going to go through it fast just so you understand it. Okay? So, first thing, does everybody have this out in front of them? Okay, so first thing, Gary Keller has studied a numerous amount of big businesses across the country and found out there is a common theme among all of them in regards to their operating expenses and cost to sell when it comes to netting $1 million in their business. Okay, so I'm going to walk through this. Obviously, we begin with the end in mind with profit, a net income of $1 million. Right? You see 40%. That's because that is what your profit margin is projected, or what you like it to be is somewhere around 40% of your overall GCI, right? In this particular case, the overall GCI is 4 down at $2.5 million in commissions. 40% of that is $1 million, right? I'm not at 40%. I'm close to around 25, sometimes 30%, right? For various reasons. Operating expenses is next, right? When they studied companies across the country, they ranged around 30% of their overall GCI of that $2.5 million number was spent on operating expenses, $750,000. Okay, that's a numerous amount of things. Now, Tanisha, what was your overall GCI last year? 419. And your operating expenses were roughly $120,000. Okay, what is the percentage of $120,000 into 419? What percentage is that? Go ahead, do it. Do it. 34%. 34%. Pretty good. That's pretty in line, right? So that doesn't mean you're overspending or underspending. You're right there. Okay? You're right there, but you're maxed out. Does that make sense? Now, next line, cost to sell, right? So let's go ahead and define this. For teams, cost to sell is when you pay out your buyer's agent, your listing agent, your showing specialist, and if you don't have any of those, guess what? You don't have that cost to sell. I have buyer's agents and listing agents. So every time I make a sale, 40% roughly of my commission goes to the agent, right? The rest of my commission goes to expenses, and what is left over is what I net to reinvest in my business or pay myself a salary or interest on my profit, okay? The other cost to sell that everybody in this room has is your cap. What is your cap? Anybody? Close. What is your cap? 18,000. What is your royalty? Oh, 3,000, 21,000. Can y'all hear me? I'm getting a connection unstable on here.
It's moving.
Me. It's me. This is.
Spreadsheet that they attached.
Okay, can y'all hear me? Sorry, I'm back. Okay, Lori, tell me where we cut off.
It cut off right as you were about to talk, didn't, we couldn't really hear what you were saying when you asked if we had a good connection, and then we lost you.
Okay, did y'all hear about y'all's cap, what the cap is?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me get back to screen share. Hold on one second. Actually, does everybody have this? Because I'm not going to screen share. That may be causing a little, okay. So let's look at cost to sell. We talked about you have an $18,000 cap and a $3,000 royalty. So you know every time you make a sale, you're going to have up to at least $21,000 expenses until you cap. Okay, so buyer's agents, listing agents, showing specialist, your cap, and another cost to sell, which a lot of people forget, are your referral fees. Referral fees. If for every time you get a referral from another agent, what does that cost to sell, roughly?
Can you go back? What was some of the line items for expenses?
So we're going to go over that in budget model.
Okay.
There's a separate model that goes over that in depth. Yep.
Referral fee like 25%.
25%. So cost to sell on a referral is roughly 25%. if you get a lot of referrals, so we average about 2 referrals that we close a month, then I can average out and know that I'm probably going to pay 25% on each 24 referrals next year, unless I plan on increasing it. Okay? So is everybody good with cost to sell? Good. Good. Now, when you take a look, you have $1 million net income, $750,000 in operating expenses, $750 in your cost to sell. Total gross commission is $2.5 million. Average commission in this particular example is only $7,150. If I divide $7,150 into $2.5 million, it equals 350 homes. So the goal for this particular company, or if you ever wanted to net $1 million, 350 homes will do it. Okay, then you can build a plan someday on how to sell 350 homes, which there's plenty of people that are doing it. We're right around 200 homes, so we're on track to do it. When you break it down to 350 homes, we know there's 2 sides, the buy side and sell side. We already talked how Tanisha is about 30% listings and about 70% buyers. A healthy business needs to be around 50-50, as close to 50-50 as you can. The most out of whack I've ever gotten is 60% buyers and 40% listings. And because we track it, guess what? We start making a pivot back towards making sure we move toward that 50-50 mark on listings, because listings generate more business for you, right? We'll talk a little bit more of that on the lead gen model, okay? Now that you know in this model that you want half of your business to come from sellers and half of your business to come from buyers, that means you need to sell 175 listings and 175 buyers, okay? Now, do you sell every listing that you get, and do you close every buyer that you work with? Absolutely not. The conversion rate is based on a large number. So I want to understand an individual's conversion rate is going to be higher. But when you grow a business, that conversion rate is going to go down because you're going to start working with people outside of your sphere and and it's going to be more competitive. Does that make sense? But we do know the bar to shoot for across the world is 70%. So let's just use 70. If you track your numbers, which we have, you will know what your conversion rate is. And if your conversion rate is like 50%, then we know a couple things. Either you need to work on your skill set, or you're going after the wrong type of leads. Okay? That goes back to Shazam's point on, has anything changed on your lead generation? Right? Well, don't go after sellers that want to sell the luxury if the luxury market isn't moving, if that makes sense. That's just one simple example. Linda?
So let's just say you're 20% listings and then.
Yeah, 80% buyers.
In a year, is it like, can you be 50-50 or?
I think you can turn it around based on your activities in about 90 days. Yep. I think you can turn anything around in 90 days. Why? Because real estate is a 90-day business. So if you wanted to get, let's just go off this tangent for real quick. If you want to go get a listing right now, what would you do? Anybody? Okay, knocking door, that would be good. Somebody already said it. What's the #1 source? Call an expired. They're on the market, they're ready to go, and they need to hire an agent most likely, right? So this goes back to your determination, your big why. If you really want to go get a listing right now, call an expired, right? And that works in any part of the world, except for Canada, because you can't call expireds. Okay, all right, so let's keep moving because we'll talk more about that in lead gen model. So 70% conversion rate. Well, that means in order to sell 175 sellers and 175 buyers, you have to have 250 sellers and 250 buyer reps, 250 listing agent signs. Okay, that's 500 total clients to work with. Now, there's another conversion rate. Do y'all get every appointment y'all go on? I know I don't. Zoom, give me a little feedback. Do y'all get every appointment y'all go on? No, not yet. And the funny thing is, if you do, then you're not going on enough appointments. Carol said she gets every appointment, Tanisha. Just want you to know. I'm just saying. Okay. Since you don't get every appointment like Carol, the conversion rate they found is a little different. It's 75 on listings, so 3 out of every 4, and 70% on buyers. Okay, so now you know how many people you have to go on appointments with. 333 listing appointments and 357 buyer appointments, right? To net $1 million. Now remember, you don't have to do this by yourself if you decide to go down this path. So that means you have to go on 26 appointments a month for listings and 26 appointments a month for buyers. That's a lot. Can't do that by yourself. Or 7 listing appointments a week, which is 1 appointment a day, or 7 buyer appointments a week, or 1 buyer appointment a day, essentially equaling 14 appointments a week. Now, you can't do that by yourself. A team can do that, though, right? I know for a while there, we were getting to about 70 appointments a month. So we were on track for the 52 that they say here you need to get. Okay, so I know that's big pie in the sky. It's hard to see those numbers. Really quick, I'm going to do a different one, but it's going to be more one you can reach. What questions and thoughts, concerns do you have about the economic model? As simple as it is. Armand.
How many people, is this made by one person or how many?
Good.
The team, how many?
So the question was asked, how many people do you need? So guess what? One of the models we're going to talk about, the organizational model. What kind of organization do you need to net $1 million?
Right.
Already been plotted out for you.
Okay.
You already know. So we'll get to that. We'll be getting to that. So great question. How many people do you need to net $1 million? It's different for everybody, by the way. Okay. Awesome. What other question? Okay. I start losing people here. Where have I lost y'all? No? Okay. So, oh, we got something in the chat. Oh, we got that. Okay, good. So I'm going to share my screen again. Hopefully it won't cut off. Here's your cheat sheet. If you want to make $100,000 in real estate, your cap of $21,000, which we already talked about, I estimated about a little over $1,000 in personal expenses or business expenses. So around 15K, it's going to be at least 1,000. That means you had to do a gross commission of $136,000 to net 100, assuming your expenses are only 15K. Is everybody tracking with me? If you do more than 15,000 expenses, add it on the top. No, I did a 60-40 split because I want y'all to have 60% on listings and 40% on buyers. That means I need 80,000 of my commission to come from my sellers and 55 of my 1,000 commission to come from buyers. I tweaked a few things up. On the commission, the average commission in the US on listings is 2.8%. The average commission on buyers is still 3, but that's going down. But let's just use 2 and 8 and 3. So that means I need a sold volume on listings of right around $3 million in volume on listings and about $2 million in volume on buyers. So let's say $5 million producer to net $100,000. Everybody tracking with that? That'd be a great goal to have. This is my personal sheet. It'll cost you just a little bit of money, not much, right? So $5 million, and I cheated because I just put a number in it. It does all the math. I did an average sales price of $250, right? Again, I like worst case scenario. So if I do an average sales price of $250, that means I need to have 12 listings sold and about 8 buyers sold. So 20 closed clients, 20 closed clients based on the average sales price of $250,000. That's 12 listings and 8 buyers. Okay, 20. It's a good number to reach out to, right? Okay. Now, I don't get every listing. Y'all don't get every listing. I'm not going to get every buyer. So we're going to use that 70% number. Once you start going to appointments, start tracking. Because if you go on 10 appointments and get 1 listing, there's something wrong. Okay. If you go with 10 buyers and only 1 buys, there's something wrong. Not with you, but maybe your presentation or value proposition or what you're saying. It's totally okay. Dan Harker, one of the best agents in the country, went on 50 listing appointments and got 0 of them and figured he was doing something wrong. He changed. Took him a little bit. He's a slow learner. Yes, ma'am. Don't worry about, I'll get, that's cheat sheet. I'll get you to that.
Okay, gotcha.
Listen, you are getting bonus stuff here. This is like $20 an hour at least. Okay, 70%. So that means I need to take, let's go to line 15, B. Uh-oh. Everybody still there on Zoom? Okay. I got to take 17 listings, so 16.65 listings. Make sure in column B15, I've got to take 17 listings to sell 12. I've got to take 11 buyer reps to sell 8 because it's 70% conversion rates. Okay. Now, I'm not going to get every appointment I go on. So 75% conversion on my listing appointments, 70% conversion on your buyer appointments. Same thing. Track it so you know what to improve on. What you measure improves. That means I've got to go on 23 listing appointments this year, or 2 a month. Let's go and do the quick math. And 15 buyer appointments this year. Now, of those listings, how many of them do you think will be buyer appointments too? Let's say half. Well, you just knocked out 11 of your buyer appointments and you need to only go find 4 more buyers. Okay? Even if it's just half of the sellers that buy. Okay? That means 2 listing appointments per month and 2 buyer appointments per month, or 1 appointment a week. Can you go on 1 appointment a week? Does your lead generation show you can go on 1 appointment a week? Only heard 1 yes. No, thank you for being honest. Now we'll go to the lead generation model next. So you want to make $100,000. Does your lead generation, your scripts, equal 1 appointment a week with somebody that's interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate? That's your first litmus test. We tracking. We're tracking. Okay, now I broke it down in contacts per day because we have it broken down on our team. If it takes you 40 contacts to get 1 appointment, this is bonus material. It's another 20 bucks, just so you know. This is how I get my net $1 million. I start charging 20 bucks. Tanisha, 40.
That's up.
40 contacts for 1 appointment. Guess how many people I had to contact per day to be on track to hit $100,000? 7 people. Yeah, 7 people a day. Now that is not, hey, how you doing? That is, hey, how can I help you buy, sell, or invest in real estate? This is lead gen model. Are you talking to 7 people that are expired or 7 people that are just randomly in your database? Because it has different conversion rates. Does that make sense? You want to go where the fish are swimming? Expireds. Downside, everybody's going where the fish are swimming, right? Highly skill set, and you're going to work with a lot of pissed off people at first. So can you get through that? It's a lot of cold calling. How many people do you have to call to get 1 person on the phone, Jay, on an expired or sub owner?
Oh, geez. 20, 30.
Okay, so let's call 25 calls to talk to 1 person, right? And to get an appointment, you have to talk to 40 of those people. So what's 40 times 25? It's about 1,000. It's 1,000 calls to make 1 appointment and expires. Now, you can call 100 people in an hour on a triple line dialer. So if you did 2 hours of lead generation a day on expireds, you're there. Because you find 1 appointment, 2 hours a day, that's $200, 2 hours, and you're there. You're at 1 appointment, assuming you can do scripts and dialogues with your expired. Sorry, I skipped the lead generation, but that's it. That's a simple math right there. You don't have to do anything else. Are y'all tracking with me? Okay. Okay. So now that you understand the economic model in depth, and I will email everybody this so they can tweak it. Now the green part is really where you're going to make the tweaks. What's your conversion rate? What do you want your split between buyers and sellers to be? How much money would you like to make? And then what is your skill set? Does it take you 40 contacts to get an appointment? Does it take you 20? Does it take you 60? Does it take you 100? Right? Now, to be honest, I've seen people start out where it took them about 70 contacts to an appointment when they started out on my team. And they got down to, I think the lowest we ever got with somebody is 16, but the average is right around 30. Okay, based on our lead generation systems in conversion. Okay, 30, right? So this is the economic model. This is your compass on everything else that you're about to do, which is your lead generation model, your budget model, which is your expenses, and then what does your organization need to look like? So let's have a quick discussion on economic model. Questions, ahas, super simple. That's why we don't spend a lot of time on it. It's just an Excel spreadsheet, but it's based on factual data. This isn't just me throwing a bunch of numbers in. So what are your questions about the economic model on both the million net and $100,000 net? I will email this to you once I get it. My Venmo is Denton_Aguam. And whatever I'm worth to you, send it. Just kidding. You don't have to send $1 million now. You can wait. Okay. Give me some ahas. I want to know, I need to know for my ego, how are y'all accepting this? Because if y'all don't get it, then I've failed my job. How are y'all getting this?
Are the numbers in green that are the 70% conversion rates, are those the actual numbers we're using right now today? I know they're
Those are the, sorry, Tess, those are the MREA numbers based on the Frankenstein of everybody across the country that has been studied. Yeah, they haven't changed that much in MRA too. The budget model has changed a lot in tune, which we'll get to in a second. But again, this is specific to you. You've got to track your numbers. Otherwise, if you don't know your conversion rate, how can you improve? Okay, again.
Comparing.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Tess.
Sorry, I was just comparing. I was just seeing if this was the national average against my own or if this was yours.
This is the national average. This is the national average. Yes, yes, sir.
This is Steve Frank. How many calls you say that you need to make a day, each day?
So for expireds, if you choose cold calling to be it,
Right.
based on Jay's conversion rate, it's about 200 calls a day.
A day?
To talk to the amount of people, correct, to talk to the amount of people you need to get one appointment set with an expired listing.
That's with a speed call?
Yes, it is a speed call. You're not actually dialing. You're literally just hitting on a headset, pushing a button, listening to music, hanging around, and somebody picks up and it's go time, right? But that's a different lead generation style, not for everybody. And Steve, remember, that is Jay's conversion rates. Yours could be a lot better or yours could be worse, but that is an example. Well, maybe, maybe not. But again, going back to, yeah, there you go. That's what I was going to say. At first, maybe, but over time, it all equals out. So let me say something that Steve, because I want to share with everybody. If we lived long enough, we would master everything. Do y'all understand that? If we lived long enough, everything would be easy because we'd be able to learn everything from language to financial literacy to rocket science. We'd be able to learn everything because we'd master one thing and want to learn something else because the human body wants to learn. We want to learn new things. We'd be able to travel everywhere, do everything, but we don't live forever. So what you decide to learn is the issue. That's why you had to have a goal or a big why to choose what you want to learn. If it's expired, great. There's ads and disads to expireds. If it's database, great. There's ads and disads to Sphere. You can't do all of it though. If you try to do all of it, you will fail and then you'll say real estate didn't work. Okay, that's why you got to really get clear on your mindset about what you want to do and how it affects you. So thank you, Steve. What other questions, thoughts, comments? Because I can make sure y'all got this on economic model, right? Because the lead gen model is going to be really fast too.
Well, it's numbers and it's tracking with numbers.
Okay, it's numbers and tracking, that's right.
You can't get into some of that. If you're not tracking, then you'll never be able to see where you're supposed to go.
Correct.
in the region, so.
Yeah, that's right. Most people's tracking, including myself in 120 in life, was by default. That means I went to the gas station and my credit card declined. That's tracking because I promise you they're going to track it. That's default tracking on your expenses, right? I've had my electricity cut off because I didn't pay it in time. That's default tracking on my expenses. Okay? Don't be default or wandering generality in your specifics that you want to be in life, whatever it may be. Okay? Thank you, Shazam. Who else?
Do you see the question in the chat?
I don't. Read it out loud.
So Georgiana says, is there a quick place and a way to see your GCI throughout the year and your company contributions on how much you have paid off to make your 18,000?
Yes, ma'am. So let me give you a little bit of tidbit here because Georgina, I want you to know those numbers before the market center knows them. But the trend report online will show you where you are. But remember, it's a month behind. It's a month behind.
Okay.
Second, everything that is you pay your commission, right? Let's write this down. Every $100 in commission you make, $36 goes towards your cap and royalty. $30 goes to the 18,000, $6 goes to the 3,000. That's why you pay off your 18,000 faster than your royalty because you're only putting 6% of your commission towards royalty, but 30% of your commission towards your cap. On average, it takes $2.1 million in volume at full commission to cap. $2.1 million in volume at full commission to cap. Okay, but it is 36% for those high Cs that want to know exactly what it looks like. But a trend report online will show you, but it will be a month behind until we get command, and then it'll be real time. Okay, does everybody understand that?
So where could you see the GCX? I have to call Max every time. Like now I know I capped, but I had to do my math in my head on the calculator and then call Max to see if when.
Nope, it's online. It's all on kw.com online, but again, it's a month behind. You'll be able to get all of it.
So just kw.com, and how do you find it? You just put your name?
So we're gonna have to table that, but it'll be in kw.com. Lori, write that down so we can make sure she is showed to where to get her commissions.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, you're fine. We will show you that way because it's a simple tab you can go to and see year to date. Sorry, let me rephrase that. 1 month behind where your commissions are.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
that would be awesome because I'm doing it on my hand here, so it would be nice to.
Well, I want you to do it by hand just because I want you to know too. But yes, there's a tracking. Okay, what else on economic model?
There's one more question on the chat.
Okay.
Lisa wants to know if you please tell her the conversion rate for the FSBO for sell by owner.
It's around, I mean, we're going to use J's, right? But 200 calls a day. Okay, so let's do this. Everybody go to the back. We're going to spend 5 minutes on this. It's okay if you don't get through it. Fill your economic model out. Okay, so let's start going. I'm going to talk out loud. Put the income you would like. Yes, pretty close. Put the income you would like. If you already have 100,000, then you've already done your economic model. But I found when you write it out and do the math, it works a lot better. Operating expenses. You can either use the 30% model that they said. So that would add $30,000 in expenses on top. I think that's well more than enough, right? That would be on the high end. And then cost to sell, we already discussed, it's $21,000. $21,000. Economic model on page 20. You have a blank economic model on page 20. Now choose your average commission. If you don't have one, you can use 9,000. You can use 7,500. And divide that into the total GCI. So if my total GCI ends up being only $100,000, just for easy numbers, and my average commission is $10,000, my number of units I need sold is 10. Okay, so let's make sure and everybody get to there and give me a thumbs up on Zoom that you got the number of homes you need to sell based on the money you would like to net. Also in the class. This is now your business work, right? Your personal work first, and then your business work. Now, I found if you're not willing to do the personal work, you're probably not going to do the business work.
And then
Yes, sir.
they would start with 100,000. You said start with net income.
You want to start with whatever your net income would like to be, Steve.
Okay.
100, 200, doesn't matter.
Okay.
And then you're going to add operating expenses. You can use the 30% if you like.
Okay. It'd be like your spreadsheet then.
Correct. Right? I would use around 15 to 20,000 if you're individual agent on operating expenses, just to give you a little bit of a cheat sheet. Linda, I would use around that much. Okay, but we'll go on a budget model here in a second. Okay. Okay, this is the actual worksheet we're filling out. Okay, so who has the number of units sold? Anybody? Awesome. Yell it out. 52. 17. 18. Tanisha. 38. Okay, does everybody have a number? It's okay if you don't get it. It's a short class. We'll make sure and do another class. I'll be happy to teach it to go in depth on this, but I want you to work through it because this is your business lifeline. Okay? So now if you got the number of units sold, let's use 50-50. Let's assume half is going to come from listings and half is going to come from buyers. I'm going to use easy number. If I said 20 units sold over the next 12 months, I'm going to have 10 listings sold and 10 buyers sold. Okay? Put that in there. Put the total listings sold, which is right here, and total buyers sold, which is right here, divided in half at 50-50. Okay. Does everybody have that number? Divide that number, because you're not going to sell every listing, by 70%. Okay, and you're going to get the number of listings needed and the number of buyers needed in order to sell 10 on each side. In my example, because it's 20 total sales. Okay. Does everybody know how many listings they need next year and how many buyer reps they need next year? Okay, somebody yell it out for me just to give me a litmus test. 16, what? Listings or buyers? 16 and 16. 16 listings, 16 buyers. Perfect. Now, every one of those listings and buyers you're not going to sell, you're not going to get on your appointments. So how many appointments do you need to go on to sign 16 people on the buy side and 16 people on the list side? Shazam. So 75% on the listings and 70% on the buyers. Divide that number and you'll get your total appointments needed.
Appointments on listings is 43, appointments on buyers is 46.
Okay, so 43 and 46 are the number of appointments you need to go on, a total of 83 appointments over the next 12 months. Now, when we move to the lead gen model, we're going to ask, is your lead generation equaling that many appointments? But we'll hold off, okay? So does anybody need a little bit of help? And again, I'll reteach it, but a specific question. If you're completely lost, it's okay. I was lost the first time too. Okay, does everybody have a rough idea of number of appointments they need to go on for next year? Okay, somebody on Zoom shout it out for me, just so I know. Number of appointments, anybody?
$60.
44.
44, awesome. Perfect. Okay, so now you know your appointments. The litmus test is lead generation model, okay? I'm gonna go over an overview here. There's ultimately two types of lead generation. It's either prospecting based or marketing based, okay? There's two things that lead generation always involves: time and money. Time and money, okay? Either it takes a lot of time or it takes a lot of money, or it could be a little bit of both, time and money. Let's do some examples. Knocking on doors takes a lot of time. Does it take a lot of money? No. Radio takes a ton of money, but little to no time. It's literally generating business while you're sleeping. Okay? So time and money. Some of this is based on your current income or how much money you want to invest in your business, and also what lead generation source you want to choose. Now, here's the cool thing. Almost every single lead generation source on here has somebody in the country or in our market center that has or begun mastering it. For example, open houses. Who should we ask about open houses? That's right, Carl. No, just kidding. Carol as well. Carol and Carl, right? They both do a ton of open houses. Carol, how many open houses did you do your first year of business?
I did 2 a weekend, so I did over 100.
All
Wait
right,
a
so
minute, yeah.
you hear that? 100 open houses your first year in the business. Did you do anything else?
No, I made it through calling 60 people in my sphere, and then I started getting business through open houses, so I kind of abandoned my sphere.
So Sphere, you kind of abandoned it, which we'll talk about later. That puts you in detention, but that's okay.
Well, this year, I
Well, this
revisited
year,
this
there you
year.
go. 100 open houses. How much, if you don't mind, did you gross commission your first year in the business?
Well, so I sold 7.5 million, so that would be maybe 225,000.
$225,000 in gross commission your first year. Congratulations, Carol. That's awesome. That's why you beat Tanisha, even though she's not in the room. So picked one of these lead generation activities on here. One, not 20, not 5. I would say 2 is the max. 2. She picked one, went all in, 100 open houses, $225,000 in gross commission.
Hey, Denton, I also want to add that I spent $300 that whole year on open house signs, and that was the extent
You
of
don't
my
have, you
expense.
don't have to brag, Carol.
But no, I'm just saying that it's
You don't-
cheap.
Hey, listen, you don't have to brag. I'm just kidding. Cheap. So time and money. Did it cost you a lot of time?
Yeah.
Carol, did I lose you?
Yes, it did. Lots of time.
Yeah, a lot of time. So one open house, because I've seen your open house. How many hours do you put in 1 week on an open house?
I do them for 3 hours. When I pay someone now to put out my signs, but it was like a 5-hour
Before
commitment
that.
prior. Yeah, it was
So
5 hour
5 hours.
commitment. Yeah.
So you're talking 10 hours a week commitment. That's a 10-hour work week. I know there's other stuff you got to do with negotiations and all that, but 10 hours of lead generation, what does that equal? Oh, 2 hours a day of lead generation. Sounds pretty on spot of what the book says. Okay. Now the question is, does your current lead generation equal the number of appointments you just put in your economic model? If it doesn't, you need to go deeper on your lead generation or choose a different type. Okay. Or I beg you, you can add a second one, but that's it. Right? She's at 225K. She's done more than that now, I know. But now, guess what? How much time does Carol eventually have? Does it run out? Does it run out? Does time run out? Absolutely. So what's the only thing you can leverage then? Your money. Your money. You reinvest back in your business. This is where I see a lot of people get caught up on moving to have an assistant. She's already got people putting her signs out. How many signs do you put out each open house, Carol?
Usually 25 to 40, something like that.
25 to 40 signs. 25 to 40 signs. That takes up an hour and a half right there of that 5 hours. Right?
Correct. So now I pay somebody
Um,
$12 an hour to put them out.
12 bucks an hour. I told you if you pay me 15, I'll do it. 15. I'm yours. 15 bucks. So, okay, lead generation model. Now, this is vague because you have to choose your model. And then when you choose your model, you can go find out who in the market center does it. So I do a lot of Facebook ads and Sphere. Today we have 1,224 people coming to a client event, right? In Frisco today, right? So you want to talk Sphere? We'll talk about it. Let me show you a model, okay? This, it's over 100 right now, but this going into the year was our marketing campaign to our database. They got 87 things from us talking about the Dare Network a year. 40% of our business comes from our referrals. So almost 80 to 100 closings comes from our database. Now, I didn't start out that way, but that's where we are. This is an example of a lead generation model that we put in every time we add somebody to our database. So now it's just on automatic, right? Took time and now it's taking a lot more money. Just add them in, boom, they get all this. And we pivot every year. We change it every year. We're now well over 100. Yes. Okay, because I've chosen database. My second choice is Facebook. We do 0 open houses on our team. Well, 0, we do them every now and then, but it's not a focus. Would I love to make it a focus? Sure. But Carol keeps declining my offer for her to join my team, so.
I have a quick question. So, what's your favorite meal?
Shazam, my favorite meal?
Yes, because I'm trying to buy your time to get the data.
Oh, well, if that's the case, there's a Michelin restaurant coming into Dallas, first ever, called Carbone's. It's Italian. It's opening up in November, so you know what? No, just kidding. It is the first Michelin restaurant coming in Dallas, by the way. So questions about lead generation model. I'll go a little bit deeper. Time and money. So who had the lead generation question? Paul, was that you? No. Linda, was that you? Shazam.
So that's what I was about to ask. So as a newer agent, we have a couple of agents.
Okay.
Looking at this, we know the MREA model says to have the touch campaign. How do you go back then, like looking at people who had $100 a month budget,
Sure.
smaller budgets? How do you take that, still keep the
Sure.
touches, but scale it down financially?
So time. The answer is time. So then what you'd want to do is apply the Brian Buffini method. Okay. And what that means is you have to find your core set of people, calling your database, not 60 contacts, more than that, and ask them a simple question. All right. Hey, Tanisha, this is Denton Guam. Hey, I just want to let you know that I made a new career move. I'm in real estate now, and I know you've always supported me in my career. I'm curious, if you or a family member or coworker had a real estate need, do you have a realtor that you would refer them to? Now, guess what? If she says yes or no, my answer is the same. That's awesome. Well, I'd love to stay in contact with you by means of maybe a monthly email, maybe even talk to you, take you out to lunch, and continue to build a relationship that when you know somebody, you'll refer them to me. Okay? Brian Buffini. If you say no, totally get it, Tanisha. I don't want to step on any toes. Do you mind if I stay in relationship with you though? That way, if your realtor doesn't work the area, get out of business, that I could be your on-deck realtor. Awesome. Well, what I'm going to do is stay in touch with you by means of maybe an email, a few things here, and maybe we can go to lunch every now and then. Okay. Now, time-wise, you can only go to so many people with lunch. From the beginning of my career, that's all I did was went to people with lunch. I changed it to coffee because I realized that's cheaper. Seriously. It's like crap. I keep paying for everybody's lunches.
And it's shorter.
It's shorter. Tend to be a little impatient personally. I can't really sit still much. So coffee is better for me. In and out with the intention of building that relationship, getting a referral, asking if they have real estate needs, and then ending with how can I help them? That's how you do it with database, right? Or you approach Carol's method, right? Carol spent $300 her first year of real estate. And to be fair, she still had to pay for signs and lock boxes. So let's be clear about that. 225,000 net income, gross income, 100 open houses, cost her nothing. So those are two reasons that there's no excuse now. That if you don't do it, then that's because you chose not to do it, not because it doesn't work. Right? Sorry, I'm pretty direct and I don't mean to come off like that, but that's just me. If you don't do it, then that's you. That's not the real estate business. Okay, what else? What about lead generation model? Lead generation model. Anybody have a specific question about a specific type of prospecting or marketing?
I do.
Okay, what's the question?
Are you guys seeing, like, with the client events and like things like that, like since Corona, you've had to pivot, right? Like people getting together and
Absolutely.
like, you're doing a whole stadium. So are you finding though that people are hesitant to come to your stuff?
Of course, absolutely. So
And
what
how are
we
you
found,
combating that?
well, we did a couple of things. One, we're doing an event every month now. Two, we realized there's a 3 different subset of categories. One, that they're just completely oblivious and they're going to do whatever. 2, they're going to go out and they're going to be cautious. And 3, they're not going to come to anything. Okay, which is totally fine. So we did a couple of different events. Our first pivot event is we did COVID testing. So we offered COVID testing to our clients. We got a private clinic. We did it on a Saturday. It was only our clients. We spaced it out. We had some treats and everybody could come and get tested for COVID if they wanted to find out. And a lot of our people that were more on the edge of, I'm not coming to anywhere, hit those clients. Now, we only had maybe 80 people show up out of our database, but we hit every single client in our database with a COVID test. Then we hit the people through a drive-through taco truck, right? We said, hey, you know what? We usually do things. We'd love for you to dinners on us. Yeah, I think it was either Labor Day weekend. I can't remember. It was a weekend. Come by Friday at 4 o'clock in a parking lot and we're going to give you some tacos. So literally we masked up. We had gloves. Tacos are pre-made in bags. They drove by, drive-by taco, boom, on their way. Okay. And then as we saw people getting a little bit better and wanting to come out more, how can we do a big event but allow social distancing and being something cool? Well, because I do a lot of stuff with the Rough Riders, they said you can rent out the stadium and put a movie on the big screen. Everybody can sit on the stadium floor, the infield, outfield, or sit in the stands. And if anybody wants to sit in the suite, we can open up the suites. So I had the entire stadium for all my clients. And because we wanted more people to come other than our database, we told everybody to invite their friends, family members, and neighbors. So about 600 of those people, we have no idea who they are tonight. And they're about to get dared. I don't know what other word to say. Right, and we did trick-or-treating. Bonnie wrapped over thousands of pieces of candy to hand out to kids. So every candy is going to be sanitized and in a separate pouch.
How does the event go? How are you marketing yourself? Is there any marketing at the event or are you just flat right hosting it?
It's all through email and text and social media. Spent no money on marketing it.
Presentations or anything?
Huh?
No presentations or anything at the event?
No. It's, we do a giveaway on if you refer, you get an extra drawing, giving away $300 Amazon gift card, giving away candy. No presentation. Presentation is more set for seminar settings. And that's, by the way, a form of lead generation, right? Investment seminars are huge right now. If you find that you enjoy doing that, you like teaching, you want to work with an investor, you're an investor yourself, that may be your lead generation model. The question is, will what you do there equal the number of appointments you have on your economic model to get you the net income that you want to eventually get you that someday goal? You see how this is lining up together? This is no more a wandering generality. Everything you choose from here going forward is going to get you that someday goal.
How long do you test something out before you?
90 days. Now, to be fair, there's other things like Facebook ads, maybe a little longer, farming a little bit longer. It's really too general of a question to know, but specifically, I would know. But usually in lead generation, in about 90 days, and it's not because it's not working, because of your energy. Carol spent 10 minutes calling her database and she was done. It might have been more than 10 minutes, but you get my drift. Okay. Lead generation model. give me a test of where everybody's at. We got 20 minutes to go over budget model and org model, which are super easy. Okay, what I want everybody to do is write down about 3 different types of lead generation models they would like to research or potentially do in their business. Use the prospecting, use the marketing, or both. Sphere, open houses, whoever. And then your homework is to find out who in the market center or at Keller Williams International has mastered that particular lead generation piece and go take a class from them.
You put the data in class,
Of what class?
the one you're gonna teach on database and social media.
I am?
You
Huh?
just- you literally- you just
Oh,
said-
have I committed to it? Sure, I can, sure. So, Zoom, give me some feedback. How are we tracking, guys? Thumbs up, questions, concerns? Thank you, Jocelyn. We're not intended to. It's not intended to. Okay, so you're welcome. Now that we understand how economic model and lead generation model works, guess what we get to look at? The money aspect. So I believe, Dee, you asked about the budget model. Here it comes right here. So again, cool thing. Guess what Gary did? He took everybody's P&L and broke out, if you're around $150,000, here's roughly what your cost of sales will be. Here's roughly what your expenses will be. And here's how much money you will make in gross profit. Okay? Now, once you start tracking your numbers and you're at 150,000 in gross commission and you're way off in one of these numbers, then you know something's wrong. So for example, $150,000, their cost to sell was $19,500. That was less than our $21,000. They had a gross profit of $130,500. Their expenses that year were $57,000. That's way more than what we suggested, right? But maybe their lead generation model cost more money, and maybe they came into the business with more money. We don't know. This is going to be on yours budget. That person netted $73,500, right? It's still a 50% net income, which is well above the goal. Okay. Now, somebody asked, Dee, these expenses of $57,000, what is that? Right? Everybody knows what cost of sales is. Everybody raise their hand if they understand what cost of sales is. Your cap, your royalty. Okay. Here is your expenses on operating. Now, to get even further, Dee, there is a document that you can get on kw.com that is called the MREA Chart of Accounts. This is where this is what separates a business person and a salesperson. Download the MREA Chart of Accounts. In there, it'll break down each one of these categories. Okay, so let's start with some categories. First is occupancy. Okay, that's rental space. Some of you don't have occupancy. That's okay. Just to give you an example, my occupancy at the beginning of this year was $4,000 a month. Now it's only $500 a month because I pivoted and made some changes and we went more virtual, right? I saved almost $40,000 plus in rent this year. Education and coaching, right? There's a dollar amount there. 5% is what they spent, this person, on education and coaching. So if you're not spending at least $7,500 on yourself in coaching, you might be shortchanging your learning. Okay? Supplies and expenses, signs, lock boxes, business cards, flyers, whatever it may be. They spent 2.7%, so $4,000. Communication technology. Gary Keller is doing everything they can to reduce that expense, 3.7%. Your automobile is now a cost, 3%. Equipment, 0.6%. Insurance, 1.6%. That is a breakdown of the small expenses. Now let's go to the 2 biggest expenses in a business, which is what? Anybody want to guess? What are your 2 biggest operating expenses in a business? It's on the PDF as a cheat sheet. Salaries, compensation, and lead generation. What kind of money are you going to spend towards your lead gen model? right? Compensation needs to be around 15% of your overall gross commission, right? For this particular person, it was $11,640, right? Now, let me make sure something very clear. You paying your photographer to go take pictures of your photography is compensation through 1099 work. Makes sense? You paying a transaction coordinator to manage your transaction is compensation work. Okay, those are operating expenses. They're variable operating expenses, not fixed, but you have expenses when you sell a house. Okay, there'll be a point where when you get to Carol or Tanisha's level that it doesn't make sense paying somebody outside to pay somebody a salary to do all your business because it's cheaper. Okay, and then you have lead generation is the next biggest expense. It's around 10% of your overall GCI. So if your overall GCI in this case is 150,000 right here, $15,000 of that should be spent on a lead generation activity, meaning your open houses, your Facebook ads, whatever it is of those 3 items you chose should be spent on it. Does that make sense? Okay, let me show you another cheat sheet that makes this a lot easier for you to understand. Here. Okay, so I broke it down here, right? 30, 30, 40. This is if you want to net $1 million. Total cost of sales is 30%. Same example, $750,000 goes to the buyer's agents and listing agents. $777,000 in item F22 goes towards my operating expenses. Here are the breakdowns of all the percentages: 15, 9.5, 1.5, 0.7, 1, 1, 1, 0.6, 0.3. So if you wanted to build $1 million business, these are the budget model items you're going to move towards. These are the expenses you're going to move towards. So now you know if you're underspending or overspending. Does that make sense? Now you know if I want $1 million business, my salaries are going to be $32,000 a month. If I want to have $1 million business, I need to spend somewhere around, move towards $20,000 a month. You're welcome. To have a lease space to fit my team, it's probably going to be around $3,000 a month. Okay. This breaks it down on the best people in the country on it. What this is why Gary said we all have to be on the same page. P&Ls have to be on the same page. Otherwise, we can't come up with this. So let's say, let's make this smaller. $150,000. Our cost to sell is just our cap. So that's going to be about 15%. Okay. So it tells you right here, if you have 150,000 GCI, you can afford $2,000 a month in expenses on paying a transaction coordinator, paying somebody take your photography, whatever it may be. It doesn't mean you have to spend that much money, but if you move towards that model, then you're in good shape. Paul, does this help? This is the real numbers. If you go over that number because you want to do fancy 3D, TV, all this stuff, then you're moving towards outside the model, right? If you're not spending any money on lead generation, that'd be an issue. But if you got a nice fancy office for $500 a month, maybe got a problem.
Denton, will you also be sharing this spreadsheet?
Oh yeah, everything's free for money.
Thank you.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So technology, 88 a month. I mean, I'm way out of whack on technology, but Gary Keller is coming to save us and reducing our cost, right? Your phone bill, the supplies you want. Are you spending on fancy flyers or working more on your scripts? I would say work more on your scripts. Fancy flyers don't work. Are you investing in yourself on education, right? Obviously, you have to have insurance on your car and equipment. Do you have a phone and computer that is professional and going to work? Okay. As simple and fast as you went through this. And again, I know we can go deep on the M&R chart of accounts and we can compare P&Ls, which is what you would normally do. And there's a 2-day class just on this. I recommend you take. There's something like that. That's what you would do. This is the budget model, right? but you can take your numbers, put in what you want to make from the economic model, run the percentages, and know where about you should be. And that's going to be your budget for the year. And then track your actual expenses monthly and start adding it together and see where you are in line with the budget model. And you got your budget model plan. Makes sense? It is absolutely ridiculous how easy he's made it for us. Okay, questions, ahas on the budget model, because we're going to end on the organizational model and do ahas. I know we went fast, but it's that simple, just not easy. There's a lot of tracking that's involved, decisions that have to be made on what you're going to spend money on. I get that, and that'll be a separate class. This is more an overview.
I would think the first thing is, as newer agents, and a lot of them are in this class and Zoom, set up your personal business account.
Okay.
Set up a business account.
So first tactical thing that Tanisha said is you should set up a personal account and a business account, 100%. And most banks don't charge you for 2 business accounts. Keep everything separate. It's going to make your bookkeeping 100 times easier, and find out where you're spending it. Okay, and that goes into that class on how to pay yourself, how to set that up. All right. What else? Ahas, questions on the budget model.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Dee. And
You
just so you know, yes, ma'am.
Pardon me, you mentioned the 2-day class, Denton. What is it called and when will it be held?
That's a question for Lori. It's a regional class, and she
Okay.
probably can get that information for you.
Great.
I don't know if the regional calendar has come out for next year, but it'll be taught via Zoom.
Okay, thank you.
Brandon Green or Matt Fedek usually teach it, and they go in deep on it, even how to set up your corporation.
Great, thank you.
So, thoughts, comments, ahas? I think my aha is it's cool that he's done studies of teams across America to know where our alignment needs to be on our expenses. Otherwise, we're just guessing in the wind. Right? Okay. Anybody else? All right.
So sorry, Denton. What was the
Yes,
site
ma'am.
that you said, the MREA budgetagent.com? No.
Yes.
It was,
So, MRI, this right here, MRA chart of accounts.
okay,
And in here, you'll get this. It's about 8 or 9 pages, and it's going to break down. See how it breaks down lead generation
yes.
here into multiple categories? It'll break down every single category. And if you get QuickBooks, you can literally categorize every expense. So every time QuickBooks runs, it automatically puts it in marketing. It automatically puts it in online advertising. So every time I spend money on Facebook, my QuickBooks knows to put it in online advertising, and I don't have to go in there and audit it, right?
Nice. Nice.
Categories,
Yes.
MRE, or was there a downloadable?
Think it's downloadable, but we had to do some tweaking. The question Paul asked is, can you set up your categories for the download? Absolutely, but you had to do some tweaking to set up your categories exactly like this. Okay? Okay. Any other questions before we get to the organizational model? Awesome. How are we doing? Give me a quick check-in. Are we good? Too much information? Just enough? Okay. Do we know who number 1 in office is yet? Just sorry, guys. We're almost there. We're almost home. We're almost home. Let me make sure I can throw my screen on. Okay, we're good. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me on Zoom one last time. Thumbs up, anybody? Good. Share screen. Okay, where'd my budget model go? Okay. All right. So if it's just you, thank you, Tessa. Oh my gosh. Okay. So close. So close.
We can hear you. We can hear
Okay. All right, I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to stop the share just because that seems to be. Okay, so go to page 14 in your shorthand workbook. 14. We're going to talk about organizational model. Okay, this one's going to be even short and quicker because when it's you, you are everything in the business, which is totally okay. Then the second level hire, which I honestly did backwards. I hired a buyer's agent first. My mistake, my fault. Worked out just fine, but I'm dealing with a lot of issues outside of my business to try to build it scalable. Another conversation is you hire your first administrative person. So Tanisha is at a point where she has the income and you have hired somebody to go out and hire somebody to help you with what we call non-dollar productive activities. Doesn't mean they're not important, but they're non-dollar productive. Let me give you an example. Carol doesn't put out her signs anymore. Is she better off talking to somebody or being face-to-face with somebody than putting out signs? Is it important that her signs get out? Absolutely. So pay somebody $12 an hour to put out 50 signs that maybe take, I don't know, let's say 3 hours, $36. That drives in one extra buyer. Her average commission is like $200,000. No, it's like $15,000. I think that pays for $36 for 3 hours of putting out signs. That is leveraging your money in lead generation. Does that make sense? Everybody good? Hire an administrative person to manage that even for you. Now, to do that, you want to take a class called Career Visioning. Career Visioning. I've taken it now 15 times. Tanisha's taken it 4. And you said you had trouble finding people right now, hiring talented people, right? And what did I ask you? How much time are you spending a week trying to find somebody of talent? You said 0. So let me make sure we drive this point home. Lead generation for a listing and a buyer and investor is the same for lead generating for talent. It is absolutely the same. If you don't spend any time towards it, you don't pick a model of how you're going to get your talent, you won't get any leads. My lead source on finding my people has been my database first. Shocking, right? Because that's how I found my business. It then has moved to teaching classes. It has moved to marketing. It has moved to running Facebook ads because now I'm trying to expand my world on who I get in business with. But my number one source has always been somebody that knows me, that refers me somebody that thinks they'd be a good fit in my organization, right? Because that's what I do for, somebody needs to buy, sell, invest real estate. Well, now it's, somebody of great talent that wants an opportunity to build something big in real estate. Well, I've got a friend named Cody. Great. I'd love to call him. Give me his name and number. Lead generation. Okay. That is level 2, right? Master level 1 and then move to level 2. This is a big breakthrough to get to level 2. A lot of people don't ever hire an admin, right? And they're tired. And if you want to build, now here's where it is. Go back to that vision board you created, put it in front of you and find out if you staying as yourself is going to get you to that vision board. And if it does, awesome. If it doesn't, you better learn how to master. What I say the number 2 thing is that Gary always teaches us. First one was thinking. What was the second one? Who you get in business with. Thinking is mindset. Number 2 is who you're in business with. Number 2. And I've been on that journey to master that. Number 3, lead generation. Okay. 3rd level. Guess what? It's another admin person, not a buyer's agent. I know for me, that's the first pain you want to get off your shoulders is showing 38 buyers, plus however many buyers, you probably had to show about 45 buyers to get to 38 closings, right? Yeah,
Well, it's not even just the buyers, it's the houses.
yep.
Calculate those houses.
So you had to have somebody to manage your transactions at her level, Tanisha, and Carol's level. So your lead admin here starts putting systems and models in place. And most of the time, you've heard both Carol and Tanisha, since I'm picking on them, to be honest, and Carol too, that they struggle to get to know their numbers at the beginning, right? Because they go out and get it, and that's fine. Their personality, and they're not meant to. They're meant for their lead admin to put the systems and models in place. That's why, as successful as you are, you don't know how many listings you took last year, which is okay. But it's not okay if you want to get to that big vision on your board, okay? That's why you hire a transaction coordinator to give your lead admin to start building that company. An integrator. You most likely aren't going to be able to build that company and go and help 50 people buy, sell, invest in houses because it takes a lot of time. That's a leverage piece. Okay. Once you get that, then you move to the fourth, and this is where I can start. You've got your lead admin, transaction coordinator. Now you can leverage two things. You have a showing assistant over here that can start showing your buyers for you. Okay. Because the number of hours spent showing a buyer is probably the biggest hour suck that you can get off. I don't mean by a bad way, but you can get somebody to go open doors for you and still write the offers and still be a high fiduciary to your client. One of our good friends, Jennifer Lewis, and another girl named Jennifer Davis, they both sold on a team over $20 million in real estate with a showing assistant. Okay. And their average price point was right around 300,000 as well. On a team selling that many. Okay. Most people want to sell 20 million just in their team. A buyer's agent with a showing assistant did that. Now they're trying to do more when you need to leverage lead generation, right? So for example, when you're all sitting in this class, are y'all lead generating? No. When you're out showing a client, are you lead generating? No. When you're on appointment, are you lead generating? No. Now, you can ask them, by the way, I love working with you, Tanisha. By the end of this, if you're happy with me, I'd love for you to refer me at least one more person that would like us that needs to buy, sell, or invest sometime soon. Could you at least do that for me? Awesome. And at the end of the transaction, if you haven't referred me, that one person, I'd assume I didn't do enough for you. So if you would, during this time, could you think about one person? Now, the reason why I say that is whenever you buy or sell a house, what are you talking about with everybody in your friends and family and coworkers? Buying and selling a house. Everybody knows. When you have a baby, what do you start talking about, everybody? Having a baby. When you got in real estate, what do you start talking about? Real estate signs everywhere. You started noticing real estate signs everywhere. When you buy your car, do you all of a sudden notice your car popping up everywhere? It's actually science, a reticular activator in your brain, because it too cannot focus on everything. It only focuses on what you want, which is why the vision board is so important. Okay? And then when you get part one nailed, then now you have part two, which leads you to an organization or a team that, you have the sheet that leaves you all the way down here to level 6 and 7, but we're not going to go into that. Okay. Now, the question Herman asks is, well, how many people do I need to net $1 million? Well, that depends on multiple things. If you're going to follow the model, it's only this many people. If you're going to follow the model. If you don't follow the model, then it's going to vary based on what your cut is, what kind of lead generation you're doing, how much you're going to spend, who you hire, how you're going to help your agents get business. Are they going to lead generate on their own? Are you going to lead generate for them? So it all changes based on your business model. Okay, and that's getting super deep, but we're not going to go into that. So this is where we're going to start. You and master you, which guess what? Mindset, which we talked a lot about. Vision, which you better have a vision board, and lead generation. Choose your lead generation source. So the first three things of mastery, you've already got. Tanisha and Carol and other people on the call, Tessa, are on the second level to hire that next person that's going to move them to the second level. So they're here. Hiring, training, accountability.
So the question,
Yes.
as an individual agent and a new agent is running real estate, how do you know you are at that point to hire an admin?
How do you know? So Tanisha asked the question, how do you know you're at that point to hire admin? So I'm going to call this Everybody has a different level of achievement. Okay, this is also called E2P. Some people on their own can sell 52 houses as individual agent. Some people can sell 36. Doesn't matter. It's when you get your level of achievement and you're burnt out, you're done, you can't do any more, right? So if 36 is the number, that's when you need to hire admin, assuming you want to go bigger. 52 may be the number, then you may hire when you get to 52. But everybody's lead generation and mastery is different. There is no number. If I had to pick a number, around $8 million in sales, you better be on the way to hiring somebody. Yes.
Quick question, for level 2, you kind of talked about it, and Tanisha's a good example. Level 3, excuse me, you have the transaction coordinator. Wouldn't that still be the lead admin?
No. So the question Jay asked is on level 3, when you have a lead admin, why hire a transaction coordinator? So assuming your goal, your vision board is to go big, level 3 gets you to level 4. To get to level 4, you had to have this in place. Systems. You as a rainmaker should not be putting the systems in. If you are, then you're not lead generating. You're not going on doing business. And it's you're putting the cart before the horse. You got to have business before you can put systems in place. Okay? The lead admin, put your systems in place. But for her to put systems or him to put systems in place, she has to have leverage where she's not working day to day on the transactions so your customer service doesn't drop. Because if your customer services drop, then you're back to square one. So transaction coordinator hands your buyers and sellers. And look, Jay, lead admin can get leverage by having somebody in the market center to handle the transactions. She can overview it. She can make sure everything's done right. But she doesn't need to be on the phone calling the mortgage and title company, insurance company, home inspector, other agent, et cetera, transaction coordinator to do that. She needs to start putting systems in place, start putting together your P&L, start tracking your lead generation activities and finding out, are you spending money where you should be?
I think I just need to get a list of, job responsibilities.
Sure. They have that online as well.
My business, I don't know. Well, I don't think my lead admin would have that much.
Okay, good. So let me, hold on, Tanisha, this is good. I'll let you speak. So Jay was concerned that the lead admin wouldn't have that because it's your business. Okay, so you need to read the book Rocket Fuel. Okay, if you think that way, Jay, then your business won't go anywhere. Because what's the most important thing for you to do? No, leverage it out. But what's the one thing you need to be doing, being the only rainmaker on your team right now?
Lead generate.
Lead generate. Thank you, whoever said that. And if you get stuck trying to build the systems and models, right, then you will be stuck here. Now, some people have a proclivity with their behavior profile to want more systems and models. And this is where I said your business grows to the extent that you do. You're going to have to push through that. It may be harder for you than me. I'm an absolute mess, and I don't care. I've got people that clean up the mess, not because I'm some great person, just because I paid them to clean up the mess.
Sure. I'm good with models.
Yes.
And I would say that's the goal of the lead admin is to do that. But I mean, that's not a 7-hour a day responsibility.
I disagree.
Yeah,
I disagree.
Here's the thing, this is what's supposed to happen, and it's in the MREA. When you hire that admin, your business is supposed to increase.
Correct.
What happens is when your business increases, there's more people that admin is talking to, there's more systems that the admin is creating. By them creating, because if they are doing what they're supposed to do, then the following year, your business will increase again. But if you have them doing the admin role and the transaction coordinator role, because they're being compounded. This is from experience, and this is a lesson that I am learning. Because they're being compounded, then what happens is when you're digging in the transaction coordinator role and the admin, at some point, something is gonna have to give.
Sure.
So let me repeat what Tanisha said for everybody on Zoom. And Jay, I'm going to wrap up your point and give you an example. Tanisha said, if you hire the right person, they should double, if not triple your business, which is absolutely correct. And you'll need that transaction coordinator. The second thing is, let's imagine, for those listening to Market Center, Christy was the only person running the Market Center. When do you think y'all get y'all's commission checks? Seriously.
Next year?
Next year. $1 billion of volume will get our commission checks next year. That's not because Christy's a bad person. That's not what Christy needs to be doing. What does Christy be doing? She needs to go out and recruit agents to the Market Center, period. What is Angie's role? Market Center Administrator. She's the Director of Operations. She runs the day-to-day, all the operations of the business here, so we can get our checks. So this tech works. So we have chairs, so we have toilet paper, right? So the person, Jay, you're looking for isn't an assistant. I don't like that word. It's a Director of Operations of the entire organization.
Yeah.
And that person is going to do it better than you. And if they aren't, then you've hired the wrong person. And if you want to do it, that's totally okay. But guess what? You better find somebody to go out and do a bunch of sales for you. If you want to stay in that role, which is cool too. You can be, hey, I'm more an operations guy, then you better go out and learn how to recruit salespeople.
My goal is to do the Mike Brody business model.
Okay, that's a model. That's ownership in multiple things. Okay. All right. So I know I went over 10 minutes. I apologize. I want to wrap up with ahas specifically right now on the organizational model. So everybody give me some ahas. Let's do 4 to 5. Ahas from the specifically the organizational model.
I think that was good feedback that we just got.
Yeah.
And then, because I wondered the same thing, can she handle those roles? And I think the definitive answer there is, I've tried it, it doesn't work.
It's not.
And your point there is the leverage you're gonna get gets dispersed by trying to.
Well, real example, Paul, guess how much time, and this again, it sounds like brag, that I spend on getting 1,200 people here tonight? None. Hardly any. Because my operations person is in charge of getting those people to the event. Right? That's not me. Sure, did I do some posts? Sure, did I do this? Did I help some videos? Sure. But I was maybe 10% of, even 5% of the overall activity to having a client event with over 1,200 people there, 8 trick-or-treat tables, a dentist giving away toothbrushes, the front of it decorated, a movie going on. I didn't pick the movie, and the entire stadium make sure catering to our entire event. That's a director of operations, right? Gary Keller doesn't run family reunion, right? Wouldn't make sense. Not the best use of his time. So very good. What else? What else? Give me a few more ahas from the budget model, then we'll wrap up with ahas from the whole day.
Denton, it's Christina. I would
Yes,
say
ma'am.
for me, my aha is I need to dig more deeply into these models and
Yes.
become much more well-versed
Yes.
to be able to see where I am and where I need to go.
Well, and I think you're the one saying you've done okay. You've had obviously some personal stuff come up, but this will help you direct where you want to go. Whether
Yes.
you do it or not, that's up to you. It's totally cool. But people have been before you. So don't recreate the wheel or just wake up every day and go, what do I do today? Pick something, go at it. If it doesn't work, pick something else.
Mhm.
Go forward. Awesome. Thank you for
the
sharing.
class.
You're welcome. What else? What else? Two more. So Tanisha, follow the model. What does that mean? What's that aha? Follow the model. Which means what? Well, the first thing you gotta do is you gotta understand the model.
Yeah, so just know you follow the model, it has a pathway, you have to understand the roles, and by following the model, what result is that gonna get you in your business? And you just stick with the pathway.
That's right. I mean, I don't want to oversimplify things, but has anybody ever here done like a diet or something? Is there a model that you follow? Does it work when you do it? Okay, this is the business model. It's been proven, it works. It's your decision if you want to diet your business or not, right? That's it. I know it sounds oversimplification, but honestly, when you simplify it and make it that simple, it just takes a lot more stress and a lot easier, and then you'll just decide whether you're going to do it or not. That's it. Okay, 2 more ahas and we'll go. Dos. And these can be from the whole day. Any ahas from the whole day? Tiffany, go ahead.
I was gonna say the one about giving something 90 days.
Yeah, 90 days.
Because that's different than, what you hear in like, for personal life versus business. Personal, you hear after you try something for 21 days or 30 days, if it doesn't work, then it's not going to work kind of thing. So just hearing a 90-day
Yeah.
frame, it helps.
So Tiffany said she likes the 90-day frame of trying something. So there is some science behind that, Tiffany. One, our business is a lag business. So it takes about 90 days when you talk to somebody, get them hired to close on it and see if you're going to make a commission on it. The second thing is if you read the One Thing book, how long does it take to put in a habit on average? 66 days. So if you're going to do lead generation for expireds for 2 hours a day, do it for 66 days. And then you'll know if it works or not. Now, what I found, Tiffany, is a lot of people do it for a week and they quit because they know they don't want to do it, which is okay. But if you're going to push through it and see if you want to do it, stick to it for 66 days. And I promise you, 2 months in, it's going to be a lot less hard than that day one. It's no different than running a marathon. Awesome. Okay. And there was one more. Who else had one more? Jay, did you have one or?
Yeah, I was going to say the new budget model spreadsheet looks like it's user friendly. I love it. I think I'm going to use that now before.
Okay. So you love the user-friendly budget model the MRA2. Cool. All right. So I'm sorry I'm over 15 minutes, but I urge everyone to make sure and redo this. I know we went fast, but I wanted to work a lot on mindset because the mindset has to be correct in order for you to attack these 4 models. You've got lots of resources, the MRA book. You got lots of classes on each one of these 4 models. Career visioning for the org model, profit class for the budget model. You've got tons of lead generation models, and economic model is a simple class that's taught to everybody. And obviously those numbers are numbers. Go look at it, see where you are, measure yourself up against people, and that's where you're going to make the differences, right? See where you are and use your goals. Am I lead generating enough to hit my appointments? No. Okay. Do I want to keep doing it? Do I want to keep calling expireds? Yes. Okay. Then what do I need to do to get better expireds, right? That would be a role play partner. That'd be maybe I need to call 3 hours because I'm not quite as good as somebody that call 2 hours. Maybe I need to call before everybody else. Maybe I need to start at 8 a.m. instead of 9 a.m. Right? Whatever it is, now that you measure it, you can attack it and start hitting those big goals daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, 5-year, and of someday. But now you're attacking that daily goal attached to your someday goal. Does that make sense? Okay. That's all I got. Questions, comments, ahas?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else on Zoom?
Thanks so much, Denton.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yep, sorry I went over.
Those classes you suggested for like profit class and economic, are they given by our broker or elsewhere?
They're given both. I would, Georgina, look at the regional calendar that Lori should have, or it should be coming out. And on there, you'll see a lot of classes that regards to these models.
Okay, super. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
I've always said that when I grow up, I want to be like Denton.
Whatever, Joe.
I always said when I grow up, I want to be like Denton.
Whatever.
Sounds good to me too.
Yes.
Thank you again, Denton.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Denton.
You're welcome. Thank you, Steve. Thanks for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denton.
You're welcome, Sue.